how do you go from that to wanting to do politics?
Politics the only game left for grown-ups, and there's that competition.
Why does nobody trust Congress today?
The left tells a lie, big media reports the lie, big tech amplifies the lie, and then when you tell the truth, they call you a racist. Every one of our liberties under the First Amendment was assaulted by the government, the Biden-Harris administration. Every single one.
Who can Trump fire? Who can he not fire?
Come in, fire everyone you're allowed to fire. And then, frankly, fire a few people you're not allowed to fire. To send a message like there is a new sheriff back in town.
Who is the leader or the leaders of the swamp? You've been in it.
That's one of the few times I really actually got mad at the witness. So
I don't look at this as a liberty thing, Congressman Jordan.
Well, that's obvious.
He and I have a secret. We'll tell you what it is when the race is over.
And that's how the founders envisioned it.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
Put the sticker on his doorbell cam so they couldn't see 58 seconds later he is dead.
Is this not criminal?
It's troubling.
Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got betdavid? Valuetainment, giving values contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to hate it. Now they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
We have an interesting guest in the house today. We have a United States representative, none other than Jim Jordan, who happens to be a two-time NCAA national champion wrestler, former college coach for wrestling. And the more I'm going into this, competitive in that area, record 156-1, and you won state championship all 4 years in high school with a record of 156-1, which is pretty impressive. And then, decides to go into politics, becomes 9-0 as a House of Representatives. We got to talk about that because I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on term limits because I want to see what you'll say about that. And then gets married to a competitor's sister, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
But I want to know that story. The brothers made. Was it your brother introducing you, or how that took place with teammate? And you guys got married. You guys got 4 kids, and some of the most fiery interviews, fiery things that we see is you fighting somebody else, and you're always up there doing your thing. So it's great to have you on the podcast.
Good to be with you. Thanks for all the good work you do. My boys are big fans, and I watched some of your clips here lately. But it's great to be with someone who's getting truth and facts and information out to the American people and all the good work you've done. So and the service to our country. So
I appreciate
that.
Us. Thank you. Likewise, because first of all, how do you go from 2-time state champion and 4-time in your high school undefeated? How do you go from that to wanting to do politics?
Well, I was at a point. I was assistant coach at Ohio State, and so I was at a point where I did that for 8 years, and at some point it's kind of time to go try to be a head coach in a Big Ten or do something else. And I was looking for something new to compete at. I mean, we were just talking about how you love competition, and same here. And frankly, when you know how it is, you get married, you have kids, you suddenly start looking at the world different. You get tired of government taking your money and telling you what to do and insulting your values. And so I decided to run. The state rep, the local in our General Assembly in Ohio, the state rep had announced he was going to retire. And I'd never been in politics, never run for anything. I was 29-year-old, Joe Bag of Donuts, never been in politics. And I think, I'm going to run for state rep. And I still remember going and talking to the heads of the party, because where I'm from, it's all about winning the Republican primary. So I still remember going and talking to the folks and saying, I'm thinking about running for state rep. And they basically said, well, you're a nice young guy, because I was young back then. They said, you're a nice young guy, but this 2-term county commissioner is running, and, he's the favorite, and yada, yada. And I politely said, they basically said, you can't win. And I politely said, we'll see, right? That's why they kicked the ball off on Friday night. You got to play the game, so who's going to win. And we had a bunch of good people help us out, knocking on doors. I mean, we were knocking doors every weekend, and we wound up winning 70-30, which, in politics is a complete smack. It was just like so I've been in politics ever since. I have 30 years, 1994.
30 years in it. Yep. Still love it as much as you did day one?
I do like... I like it when the part I like the best is when I think there's a guy on the witness stand who I get the opportunity to cross-examine in one of these hearings, if I think that guy hasn't been square with the people, particularly the people I represent in the 4th District of Ohio, but frankly, the American people. And it's my job to highlight that and demonstrate that and try to improve how the bureaucracy is going to operate for how the government's going to operate for the American people. So I like the competition part of it.
I see some of the stuff like weaponization of the federal government. You've gone against FBI, CDC, DOJ, all these guys, Hunter Biden, the handling of the classified documents, Fauci, ESG, all of these things you've gone up against. It seems like that's what drives you when you see some of the correcting the injustice that's taking place. That's when you get fired up and you want to compete and get in there. And again, it's entertaining to watch because some of this stuff with politics, you need fighters. I was thinking you were going to be the Speaker of the House. And, Kevin and I have spoken multiple times.
Yeah,
we had him on.
I like Kevin.
I enjoy talking to Kevin, and I know you guys are friends.
Yeah.
But I thought for a moment, I'm like, you know what? Is he? And I think there was a moment for about a week or two where you were the one in the talks that could be the Speaker of the House, and then it went a different direction, and then Johnson, and then obviously it never happened. But how close was it to you being a Speaker?
Well, I got the nomination after with Kevin. We had the 8 guys who got rid of Kevin, which was a mistake, and then we had the ballots, and I ultimately get nominated. But there was a handful of guys that just weren't going to vote for me. And after 3 rounds, remember Kevin went 15.
I remember that.
And
crazy.
I remember I nominated in the second round. But after 3 rounds, I just saw that it wasn't going to happen. So I went to the conference and basically said, okay, we could have a secret ballot vote. Do you still want me as your nominee, or do you want to move on? Because I didn't feel like it was appropriate to keep making my colleagues do it on. But there were a handful of folks who just, I think most of them kind of dealt with the Appropriations Committee, but there was a handful who didn't want to do it. But look, right now we're focused on, we got 7 days to win this thing. And I think we can win all 3. I think President Trump's going to win. I do feel like we're going to win the Senate. I think Marino's going to win in Ohio. We've been campaigning with him. I like McCormick in Pennsylvania. We've done a lot of. He's an old wrestling guy. He was captain at West Point. In fact, he called me up. Ratcliffe called me. John, who was a colleague of mine that worked for President Trump, called me like a year and a half, 2 years ago, and said, "Hey, McCormick would like to talk to you." I said, "Well, fine. I'm happy to talk to him." And so he calls me up. We start talking, and he says, "Hey, I wrestled. I was state champ Pennsylvania and was captain of the team at West Point." I'm like, "Well, why didn't you tell me that?" I said, "I'd have been for you last time if I'd have known that." He's a great guy.
That's cool.
I think he's going to win. So I think we're going to win the Senate. I think we're going to keep the House. So all good.
So now it's going to be interesting to see if this is like how in 2022 they said, "Well, there's going to be a red wave all this and boom, everybody was shocked. Oh shit, there is no red wave." So I'm curious to know what's going to happen, whether it'll happen this time or not. But I'm going to tell you a funny story. Then I got a bunch of things I want to go into with you. I'm in the Army.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm 6'4". At the time, I'm 6'4", 6'4.5", and 225 pounds.
Yeah.
And 7-8% body fat.
Yeah, you're ripped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am ripped. I look good. Rob, pull up a picture. I can brag about what I used to look like at 18. And I feel good. Like if I'm fighting, if I'm wrestling, if I'm doing what I'm doing, I'm feeling good about myself, okay? That's the one right there. If you go to the second picture, Rob, the one that's me in the Army. That's actually in the barracks.
Dang.
That's me 19 years old in the barracks, okay?
Yeah.
And
you should have wrestled.
Well, let me tell you what happened. I didn't wrestle. So we're in boot camp, and we got 100 kids around, and everybody's coming in. We're fighting each other. And then this one kid comes to me. He's probably 5'6", 5'7", but I'm going to say 130 pounds. And he says, "Look, let me try." This is me, by the way. He says, "Let me try you." And I said, "You want to try me?" I said, "Look, I don't want to hurt you, honestly. This is not fair to you."
Yeah.
That's me 14 on the left. That's me 19 in the right. Yeah.
Look at that.
So we start. I said, "I don't want to do this to you. There's people here I don't want to embarrass." He said, "No, don't worry about embarrassment. I've got a thick skin." I'm like, "I'm telling you, I don't want to do it." He said, "Just give me a shot." Jim, I'm not even kidding.
I know what you're
in
gonna say.
6 seconds, I'm begging him to stop. And he does it with a smile on his face.
Yeah, that's
so I'm like, "Dude, what is stop?" And I'm like, "What's the matter with you?" He says, "Well, listen, I'm pretty good at it." He says, "Why are you so good?" He says, "I was a state champion in Florida or Ohio, one of these states." So you should have told me something like that. "Well, you were enjoying yourself too much. I wanted to surprise you." But that's the thing with wrestlers sometimes, because you can never tell. And then all of a sudden you're like,
Unless they got the ear.
Unless they got the ear, which is when you see the ear, it's a good signal to say, "How are you, sir?" Maybe the approach changes a little bit.
I wouldn't mess with you when you're built like that. But it's funny because we were this a couple years ago, and I was campaigning, helping a colleague in New Mexico. We're in El Paso, time change, late at night, And Polly's sleeping, I'm up, I can't sleep, and I'm clicking through ESPN, I'm on there, and they're doing how Dana does the preview of the big fight coming up. It's like the week before, and so they're previewing how they train.
Sure.
And it was Khabib's protege, I forget the guy's name, he's the tough, in same weight class as Khabib.
Kamzat or?
Ishmael, something like that. I forget. Anyway, they're showing him training, and then they're showing the guy from Brazil. So this is a couple years ago, and it's the big fight. And they show how they train and all. And it was funny because I'm watching it, and it's like the Brazilians is that's a different kind of.
Is he the stocky, shorter guy?
The Khabib guy is the guy from Dagestan, who Khabib was training, and then the guy from Brazil was the longer, lankier Brazilian style, and they showed him training. But it was funny because the guys from the Dagestan group, they start with the wrestling base, and it showed them in the room training. I was like, that's exactly how our boys were training with my brother, and they shooting across the mat and different things. And I just watched the whole thing, and I thought, and I said, I think the wrestling guy, the guy who started with the wrestling base, the Khabib guy is going to win. And sure enough, the next week he beat him. He beat him in the. I didn't get to see the fight, but it was funny because I said, who won that fight? And my boys were telling me so. There's something with that wrestling background.
It's a different thing with the wrestling side, right? It's a different skill set. But let's get right into it. So questions for you. Politics, Congress, 9 terms. You've been in there, right?
Yeah.
When you look at approval rating right now in America, lowest we've ever had in mainstream media. Americans don't trust mainstream media. Mm-hmm. It's 23, 24, 27, give or take. Number just came out from Gallup. It's the worst it's ever been. What is it right now? Anyway, it's the lowest it's ever been. Whatever the number is, it's the lowest it's ever been. Then when you look at trust in the U.S. government, again, low in the 20s, 27, lowest it's ever been. You see approval rating for Kamala Harris. You see approval rating for Trump. You see approval rating for Biden. You see all these approval ratings we hear about. Do you know the lowest approval rating in America right now is Congress, 16%. Why does nobody trust Congress today? Left, right, center, 16% is terrible. How do we get there?
Yeah, I think it's Congress is, disappointing the American people. There's I always joke and say, if you remember that movie 1776, the opening scene, John Adams is up in the bell tower, and the clerk calls him, Mr. Adams, and he comes walking down, and he walks in there at Independence Hall where they're getting ready to debate and put together the Declaration of Independence, and he walks in. The opening line of the movie, he says, "One useless man is a disgrace. 2 are a law firm, and 3 or more are a Congress, and I've had it with this Congress." So I think it might have been there
2
from
are lawyers, 3 is our Congress.
Yeah. One useless man disgrace, 2 are a law firm, and 3 or more are Congress. So I think it might have been there from the get-go. It's like a frustrating body where you got to debate, and then of course this past Congress, it's kind of fit what Adams described. Now what's interesting is, of course, no one likes Congress, but they all like their congressman. Or no one likes Congress, they all like their congresswoman. Because the reelection rate is huge for incumbents. But it is frustrating, and frankly, I think part of the problem too is when the founders set up this great experiment in liberty, the greatest country ever, 3 separate and equal branches of government. If there was one branch that was supposed to be a little more equal than the other, it was supposed to be the legislative branch. And in particular, the House of Representatives, because that's the body that's closest to the people. Every 2 years, voters get a chance to throw me out. I tell them all the time, that's a good thing. Keeps me honest, keeps me coming back talking to the voters. I get the privilege of representing. So it was supposed to be the one, and that's why under our Constitution, all spending and taxing has to originate in the House of Representatives, the body that every 2 years has to go in front of the people. What I think we've allowed to happen over the last several decades is the executive branch, the presidency, has now become the more dominant branch of government. And we need to reassert our authority, particularly when it comes to the power of the purse, and say, wait a minute, we're not going to let the executive branch run all over us. And in particular, these huge bureaucracies that tend to run our lives via rule and everything else. And of course, the best example of someone who's never been elected, who ran our lives for 3.5 years, is Dr. Fauci. Fauci, 40 years in the government, highest paid official in the government, literally ran the country for 3 years and violated our liberties. I tell folks every time I give it, I'll say it tonight when I'm speaking to the group tonight. Every one of our liberties under the First Amendment was assaulted by the government in the Biden-Harris administration. Every single one. I mean, 5 rights we have: our right to practice our faith, our right to assemble, right to petition the government, free press, free speech, every single one. They told Americans during COVID, you can't go to church on Sunday. In America? That is just wrong. And then I tell people, I spoke a couple years ago, the New Mexico Republican Party in Amarillo, Texas, because they had to go to Texas to get the freedom to assemble. Their Democrat governor wouldn't let them get together in their own state where they pay taxes. And you can just but the scariest one of all is what they're doing to the First Amendment, free speech, where they're telling Americans, you can't say certain things, you can't tweet certain things, you can't post certain things. Like, what in America? Think about this. Did you ever think we would have Donald Trump, Elon Musk, RFK Jr., and Tulsi Gabbard on the same team? And they are, because of this free speech thing. So I don't know even how we got all of this from. But I do think Congress needs to reassert its authority against these bureaucrats who run our lives, who never put their name on the ballot. Maybe if we did that, maybe the country we'd go from 16% approval rating at least up to 17%.
I guess my question would be, to follow up on that part, is when you ask the question about did I ever think Elon Musk, Trump, Tulsi, RFK, all these guys? What about a year and a half ago when Tucker got fired from Fox, I think in April or May, and I saw a meeting that was had with Tucker went to Musk to do Twitter, and he said he's taking his show on Twitter, and the first show came out, and we're like, whoa, and then it was like, oh my God. I said, I think there's an alliance being created with Elon, Tucker, and
great point,
and Trump. It's like, what are you talking about? I said, I think there's an alliance being made between these 3 guys. Something's going on there. And then when Bobby started going on all these podcasts, and he's going, I had him on early in COVID, 2020, 2021. I had him one time. Him and Dershowitz were debating each other. It was great.
Yeah.
And I said, Bobby's willing to go everywhere. He's going to do something. Then he got the independent vote. And then Trump is able to bring him in. Then Tulsi, she's being bullied around by Hillary. She's a Russian asset. She's this. Like, what are you doing? She's actually very formidable. It was insulting where they don't know how to keep talent. Like, it's almost as if certain companies, you're a coach. Phil Jackson knew how to deal with big egos. Mm-hmm. He knew how to deal with Michael. He knew how to deal with Rodman. He knew how to deal with Scotty. He knew how to deal with Kobe. He knew how to deal with Shaq. That's a skill set. It's as if the Democratic Party had a lot of these talents. They just don't know how to keep Elon. They don't know how to keep Rogan. They don't know how to keep RFK. They don't know how to keep Tulsi. So they keep losing talent. How do you lose all this great talent that's leaving you going elsewhere? That just means there's not good leadership there. But going back to it. So in free enterprise, free market, if approval rating is not high, you get fired. You've been in it for 9 terms, right? And you hear term limits all the time. Mm-hmm. One, what's your position with term limits?
I'm actually for, look, I've been in office for, different offices now, state rep, state senate, and Congress, 30 years. But I actually supported the effort when it was in our state back in 1992. We went to the ballot in Ohio to limit the terms, and we passed it for state house, state senate, and for United States Congress. The Supreme Court said, okay, you can keep it Ohio for state house and state senate, but Congress you can't, because other states have got different things, and we can't have that unequal amongst the states there. So I think newer, fresher people is typically a good thing. On balance, I think it's a good thing. You're going to lose some good people, but I'm for it. So if we ever enact it, I'll abide by it when it happens. But
how many are your friends? How many total people in Congress? What's the number?
I bet it's not a majority.
How many people would be for it?
Yeah, it's not. It'd be less. It wouldn't be enough to pass. I don't think.
Less than 10%.
No, it'd be more than that. There's a number of conservatives who'd support it, and it would. I think it's important to be equal to the Senate. So I think you'd probably have to go 12 and 12. You get 6 terms in the House, 2 terms in the Senate, 12 and 12. If you do that, and of course we've had term limits on the president now for since FDR.
Okay, so let me ask you the question. Okay, so let's just say I come to you and I say, Jim, cameras off, phones off. I just want to have a conversation with you. I'm thinking about running for office. Okay,
great.
And here's some of the things I would like to have an outlandish campaign to come out, like, hey, build a wall or do this. Not some basic stuff that everybody keeps talking about, repeating, you're like everybody else. Yeah. I don't want to be Me Too. I want to come out with a new campaign.
Right.
Okay. So, one, only 2 countries in the world Big Pharma can advertise in, okay, on TV, mainstream media. You got U.S. and New Zealand. That's one. I'd like to eliminate them from them being able to advertise on national television and allow doctors to do their job to make the prescription instead of them buying TV ads, right? Pfizer paying guys $20 million. The other day I saw John Legend with a Pfizer ad for COVID shot. It's been 4 years. Yeah. Can you find out how much John Legend got paid for the COVID shot? I know Kelsey got $20 million. I don't know what John Legend, we can probably find that out and see what the number is. But I want to eliminate that. I don't want John Legend telling me to take a COVID shot. No, get out of here. I don't want to watch you. Go play your music. Your music will play at many different weddings. I don't want you to be a doctor coming up telling me why we should take the COVID shot because of you. Okay. So number one is big pharma outside of advertising. Yeah. 2 is term limits. I want to run on term limits and I want to get that done. Impossibility.
Yeah.
3, I want to run on, we're going to take Fauci down and we're going to investigate everything that happened. Okay.
I like that.
We're going to find out exactly what happened. Number 4, I want to hold China accountable because everybody's forgotten about what happened with China with the release of the virus. We haven't been able to do that. If there's got to be an element of reparations that they did for the world to stop, for the amount of months that they stopped, the millions of restaurants, jobs that was lost, the $50 million in the hospitality business industry that we lost, the 100,000 restaurants that shut down, whatever the numbers, 50 to 100,000. These are family-owned businesses that were shut down. If I told you one of those 4 I want to run on and add flat taxes to it, tell me which one's the most likely that you can get it done to the least likely of getting it done.
Well, first of all, the term limits requires a constitutional amendment. So that's a long process to amend our Constitution. So that's tough. The first one was on limiting advertising.
Big pharma.
Yeah, you may have a chance with that. I think it's difficult, and of course you'd have the pharmaceutical industry, working against you. Yeah, of course. And then going after Fauci, I think the country's with you. Country remembers. I'm certainly with you. I've been going after that guy for. I still remember one time when he was in front of the hearing. I think I asked him this question like 100 times in 5 minutes. When do we get our liberty back? What measure? What metric? What has to happen before Americans get their First Amendment rights back? And he just like it was. I got. That's one of the few times I really actually got mad at the witness. So. I'm all for doing that one. Now, as far as any crime or anything, I don't know that that's there, but that would obviously be up to the Justice Department. And then on China, I think that is critically important. You want to go specifically regarding COVID, but in a general sense, we understand China. We got to beat them in AI. That's the competition out there.
I'm talking reparations. Yeah. You stopped the world. You released the virus. You were irresponsible because of you. This is how much the world lost on what you did. All these families that have history, relationship, we have to hold you accountable. So
remember, you couldn't even say that.
I know you couldn't even say that. I know.
That's the censorship stuff.
So right here, based on this, would you say term limits is the hardest one because it's long term?
Yeah, because it requires a constitutional amendment.
Okay. Would you put Big Pharma, Fauci, China, flat tax? Which one would you put as the second toughest one? Flat tax, China, holding Fauci accountable, Big Pharma.
I don't. The flat tax is. We all like that simple tax system. That concept better. We're gonna do tax reform if we win everything like I think we're going to. Obviously, the tax cuts that we put in place back in 2017 with President Trump are up for reauthorization. So we have to get that done in 25 next year. So you could do maybe something on in a flatter way, but a clean flat tax probably be tough. But we're definitely going to do tax reform. We get the majority. We're going to use this. The fancy term is reconciliation, but it's a fancy term to avoid the 60-vote hurdle in the Senate. We will use that approach to get tax reform done and tax cuts done and reauthorize most of what happened in 17, which was so good for the economy. So that's certainly part of that's possible. The others I think are pretty tough as well.
Got it. So you're saying so you're not thinking the big pharma thing's going to be tough to do?
No, it would be. I just know the way the lobbying thing works, and I'm not on the Energy and Commerce Committee. Some of these committees do. I'm on the committees where we're always in a debate and doing an investigation and judiciary and oversight. But the better answer would come from them. But I think there's probably a possibility that happens.
Got it.
Yeah, but you got to run first.
No, I'm not born here, so I can't run. You would have to create some amendments for me to be able to run.
Yeah. Well, you're a citizen, right?
I'm a U.S. citizen.
Well, of course. So you can run for Congress. You want to run for president?
If there was any, like, I'm not, because for me right now, what we're building, we're growing rapidly, business-wise, company. I enjoy capitalism. I enjoy the free market. It's easy to compete. I know if I'm going to lose here, I'm going to win here. This is the dollar amount. It's very transactional. It's easier. Politics. Eric Trump was here last week, and he says, in politics, at least in business, you know if you're going to get a better deal or not because there's dollars involved. Both people want to build this hotel. Both people want to make this company work. Both people want to make the money. Politics, it's a different game.
Yes, I get it, but as we talked earlier, there's a competitive aspect to it too. I think it was one
agree.
of the. I think it was. I may be wrong on this, but I think it was one of the Kennedys. And maybe I'm wrong, but someone once said, one of the Kennedys, I think, said, politics the only game left for grown-ups. And there's that competition. And I like it because I'm fighting for the folks back home, the families, taxpayers, communities I get the privilege of representing. And but there is that competition component that I think is important too. In the history of the country, this is, I think, amazing about this country. In the history of this country, only about 12,000 people have ever served in the United States Congress. It is a privilege. It is an honor. And I try to remember that. And when I go there, it's like, okay, my job is to fight for the folks back home. Now, I literally think about this. I even said this to Fauci in one of the times I was cross-examining him in a hearing, that my job is to fight for those folks back home. And they want an answer to why their liberty has been restrained because of you. And when is it going to end? And so, but it is a privilege. And I know you're doing great in all you do here, but you should run for Congress.
I am so interested in your world. Trust me, I am very interested in your world. A guy like Elon, you see how Elon's being involved right now. So do you think, even at a level from your perspective where you're at, because, you're Congress, you're not going to be around for 2 years, 4 years. You can be around for as long as you want. You can be around for the next 20 years if you wanted. It's purely on you to decide to step away. Who is more powerful in your eyes, a Trump or a Musk?
Well, both are extremely powerful. But I mean, President Trump has transformed the party. He's the leader. We are now, and this is a good thing, we are now a populist party rooted in conservative principle. And that last part's really important. You can't just be pure populist. But we are a much more populist party, much more working class, middle class party rooted in conservative principles. President Trump has brought that about. What I think Elon has really done has focused in on this idea of protecting liberty, protecting First Amendment free speech rights, and he's just been powerful in that regard. I called him up because I had talked to Elon a few times with Kevin, and we had one of those meetings with Kevin. I still remember Elon Musk telling me, he used the term, he said, GARM is harm, and GARM is this, you guys might deal with them, Global Alliance for Responsible Media. And basically, they kind of coordinate together to say, oh, you shouldn't advertise your product on this particular podcast, this particular website, this particular platform, because it could be a reputational risk to your brand. And he said, that, and basically what they do is they were saying, don't advertise on anything conservative. Breitbart, Federalist, Twitter, don't do that. And I still remember when Elon said, GARM is harm. We started investigating and found that it was exactly like he described it. Long story short, because of our investigation, GARM went out of business. They're no longer operating because we felt like it was almost an antitrust violation. That's from the Judiciary Committee's perspective. That's why we looked into them. So, what Elon's done on helping us and RFK Jr. too. By the way, when I talked with RFK Jr. a few weeks back when he endorsed President Trump, I called him up to thank him. And we started laughing because you had him on your show, but I invited him in as a witness. And I told him I invited him, Tulsi, the Schellenberger and Taibbi, the Twitter Files guys. And I told Elon, I probably invited more Democrats in as a witness than any Republican chairman I know. I mean, I said, I took some heat when I invited you in a year and a half ago because, Democrat candidate named Kennedy running for president. But I joked with him. I said, but we kind of look like geniuses now that this coalition's coming together. But by the way, in that hearing, now think about this issue in the Democrat Party. In that hearing, one of the Democrats, RFK Jr.'s testified, one of the Democrats, I think it was Debbie Wasserman Schultz, I need to double check that, but I think it was her, made a motion to go to executive session, which means you kick everyone out and no cameras, no citizens can see what their government's up to that day in that particular congressional hearing. So she made a motion to not let people see what RFK Jr. was going to testify to in a hearing on censorship. Think about that. Like, and I'm like, his name is Kennedy. Like, it's the most well-known name in Democrat politics for the last 3/4 of a century, and Democrats are trying to kick him out, not let anyone hear what he has to say. So you talk about they're the party of censorship. They certainly are. We're the party of, like, defending the First Amendment. It's, like, crazy. But, RFK Jr. said something at that hearing that he said when he endorsed President Trump, and I've never forgotten it. And I told him this on the phone. I said, when you testified in the hearing, you said, when you look at history, it is never the good guys who are for censorship. It is always the bad guys. And that is so true. And I think Americans are seeing through this. And this is there was a survey last week where number one issue is inflation, number two issue, First Amendment, protecting the First Amendment. Head of the border, ahead of other issues.
I saw that.
And I was like, holy cow,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
I saw that. So Elon even tweeted that out to show what the number was about. We talked about it on the podcast. But the Fauci we see, you've spent more time with them. You've had time with them one-on-one, your fights. Rob, do you have a clip of one of the fights? Let's post one of these to remind people, because a lot of time when time goes by, we forget how nasty things were during COVID. Yeah. Go ahead and play this clip.
That call would have been on the call.
Well, the call was arranged by Jeremy Farrar. You should ask him.
Okay. Did U.S. tax dollars flow through a grant recipient to the lab in China?
I'm sorry. What was?
Did U.S. tax dollars flow through a grant recipient to the lab in China?
Yes, of course. It was a sub-award to the Wuhan Institute.
And who approved that award?
Excuse me?
And who approved that award? What agency approved that award?
National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases.
Your agency approved that, right?
Yes, it did. After.
Did that have anything to do with this downplaying of the lab leak theory?
No.
Nothing to do with it?
Nothing.
What prior to that?
That is wild while we're going through that, right?
Yeah.
And you're hearing that being said. What was the other one that you guys said that was a fiery one?
Oh, this was back during COVID where I actually had to, I think, wear the mask. It was one where he...
you had a mask on?
He said I was... what did he say?
Is this the one?
I lost it, one of these. It may be.
Continue this forever, or when do we get to the point? What measure, what standard, what objective outcome do we have to reach before Americans get their liberty and freedoms back?
You're indicating liberty and freedom. I look at it as a public health measure to prevent people from dying and going to the hospital.
You don't think Americans' liberties have been threatened the last year, Dr. Fauci? They've been assaulted. Their liberties have.
I don't look at this as a liberty thing, Congressman Jordan.
Well, that's obvious.
As a public health thing.
Are we just...
So how different is he behind closed doors when the cameras are off than when he's being held accountable with the cameras there?
I mean, my assessment is he's pretty arrogant all the time. Is sort of. I mean, I was actually in part of the deposition with him too when the select committee deposed him. He was obviously a little more friendly back there in that situation, but he just, the thing I look at is everything he told us turned out to be false. Everything. They initially told us, oh no, it wasn't gain of function research done at the lab in China. Sure looks like it was. They told us it wasn't our tax money used at the lab in China. Yes, it was. They told us it didn't come from the lab. No, it didn't come from the lab. It was a bat to a pangolin to a hippopotamus to we all get then they said the vaccinated can't get it. The vaccinated can't transmit it. They said mask worked. They said 6 feet social distance was based on science. And then the kicker was when they told us, oh, this is the first virus in history where there's no such thing as natural immunity. He was 0 for 8. Right? Eight things he told us that were false. And meanwhile, he's telling us all these false things. And you can't go outside in certain states without a mask on. If you walk your dog after 10 o'clock, you're going to get a ticket. Tim Walz was telling people to snitch on their neighbor. Like, what is that? Based on all this stuff that we got from this guy who's paid $400-some thousand by the taxpayers, who's worked for the taxpayers been in government for over 40 years. It just was frustrating.
But then the question becomes, okay, so you say that, right? To me, Americans are very quick to move on. Look how they forgot about it. You forgot that your kids didn't go to school for a year and a half, and little kids, 2, 3-year-old kids had masks on, couldn't breathe, and the teachers will put it back on. Or on flights, your kid can't put the mask on, you got to get off the flight. Dude, the kid doesn't want to put the mask on camera. You got to get him off the flight. What are you talking about? My kid doesn't want... Moms are screaming, crying, the chaos, the power trip that these airlines had.
Yeah.
So then I sit there and I think, why is Congress at 16%? Is it because nobody ever gets held accountable? Is it because, what is the level? Like, imagine for the people that are still not over it. They're still kind of like, okay, how old is this guy right now? Is he 82 or 81? What's his age? He's 83 years old. What's his age? 83 years old. born on the same day as my mother, by the way. Pretty interesting. Except she's not 1940. She's a little bit after that. She's Christmas Eve. Is this guy ever going to be held accountable, Jim?
It's probably the question I get. Sometimes they're even more direct. They're like, when is someone going to jail, Jordan? I mean, it's like, and all we can do, and it's a frustrating, but it's the truth. All we can do in Congress, in the legislative branch, is do our duty of oversight, get the facts to the American people. Then we can do referrals. If we think someone is guilty of criminal conduct, we can refer them to the Justice Department. But that, if that goes anywhere, depends on Merrick Garland and the folks at the Justice Department. We can also propose legislation that would help, fix something or do that. We're the legislative body, but we can't prosecute or indict anyone. And it's frustrating for the American people, but that's where so what we try to do is get the facts out. Now, sometimes just the facts will make a difference. I use the example all the time. Remember 2 years ago, if you remember when the Department of Homeland Security was going to, they began to establish the Disinformation Governance Board, as if some bureaucrats can tell us what we can say, what we can't say. I mean, it was like crazy. What's misinformation? What's disinformation? What's malinformation? All these crazy terms again. And we made a big stink about that. I bet you talked about it, and all kinds of conservative folks around the country were talking about it. And long story short, the Biden administration, well, we've decided to cancel the Disinformation Governance Board. And it's because we made a big, that doesn't square with the First Amendment. Another good example was the IRS used to have agents make unannounced visits to American citizens' homes. And Danny Warfall, the commissioner, announced a year and a half, 2 years ago that, we're going to stop that. We're concerned about our agents and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, the reason you stopped this is because we caught you. Literally, when Matt Taibbi was testifying in front of our committee, the IRS, on the Twitter files, come in front of our committee. While he's testifying, the IRS was knocking on his door. I mean, you talk about, and there's not one person I've related the story to. It was big news at the time. No one thinks that was just a coincidence. That was just happened. Everyone thinks that's the government trying to chill speech. It turned out they actually owed Taibbi money. The IRS did, but I mean, they're knocking on his door while he's testifying in front of our committee. So that they no longer do that. So there's some progress. I mean, I talked about GARM, some other things we're doing. But as far as people being held accountable, it is frustrating to the American people. I understand it, but you got to have a Justice Department.
In your opinion, nothing's going to happen to Fauci, based on what you're saying. Yeah. So he's going to, okay. So then let me ask a different question. You know how in free market, free enterprise, Elon buys X, Matt Taibbi, Barry Weiss, all these guys, there's a whole crew of them, Twitter files, wow. Biden administration talking to YouTube, Google, take this guy, suspend this guy.
Yeah.
Twitter, hey, you guys gonna, and then Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, can Trump, if he gets elected, so he wins next Tuesday, he wins.
Oh, let's hope.
Yeah, he wins. Can he assign folks to go do FBI files, CIA files, to go do DOJ files, Fauci files, CDC files? And would America benefit from someone actually exposing the level of corruption that some of these officials had talking to these different social media companies? But I'm talking government communication with them, not the other way around. Because in order for us to find out, we would have to buy Google. There's nobody that can afford to buy Google right now. It's $1 trillion, $1.5 trillion. You would have to buy Facebook. You would have to buy these guys. But flip it. If we assign people to go that route, can you get to the bottom of it?
Yeah, I think you can, and we've done some of that. For example, you mentioned, I always use this example because it's the most sort of prominent one. And it was an email on the third day of the Biden administration. So I think it was January 22nd, 23rd. There's an email from Clark Humphrey in the executive office of the president, the White House, an email to Twitter. And the email says, take down this tweet ASAP. And the tweet was from RFK Jr. And the tweet was, if you remember when, we were talking earlier, you love baseball, when Hank Aaron passed away, RFK Jr. did a tweet. He said, Hank Aaron passed away after taking the COVID shot. He took the shot to encourage Black Americans to get vaccinated. So what's that? 3 sentences. Every single one of those sentences is accurate. Every sentence is true. He took the shot. He passed away after the shot, and he was doing so to encourage Black Americans to get vaccinated. And the Biden-Harris administration wanted that taken down. And I'm like, it's a true state. There's all true statements. But that is the level of censorship. So we've been able to expose some of that, but certainly if President Trump gets in, he can, because we've subpoenaed, and it's always a fight with this agency, that agency, whether it's FBI, CISA, the White House, whatever. We even brought in some of these people, we depose them, we have them in hearings. We do all that. And then we put out the reports that lay out the facts. But certainly President Trump gets in, you're going to get a new FBI director, you're going to get a new attorney general, and they can dig into stuff at the Justice Department. You're going to get a new person running the Department of Homeland Security. They can dig into any information there. But you can look at what kind of communication was going from the government to these big tech companies.
Is swamp a real thing? Okay, so how easy is it how easy is it within FBI, within DOJ, within CIA, within all these institutions to identify who the swamps are?
Well, it starts at the top. I actually think we use the FBI as an example. I think the vast majority of the agents are good people. We have 2 former agents who work for the committee. They're great guys. They're right out of Central Casting, Irish name, Italian name, from Pittsburgh and Cleveland. They're just good guys who help us as we're looking at them. They tell us, here's how they would do, So it's been really, I think the agents are great people, but it's the people at top, it's the people in D.C. that are the problem. If you go back to, go back to the whole spying on Trump's campaign back in 2016, when it was, Strzok and Page and all the Klein-Smith, the lawyer for the FBI who lies to the FISA court, changes an email, turns it around 180 degrees to get the warrant to go spy on folks associated with President Trump's campaign. That's the problem. These weren't like agents who came up through the streets in Pittsburgh and Cleveland and New York and Rose. These were like lawyers who were working in D.C. for the FBI. And you saw the bias and the disdain they had. Remember the one email from Peter Strzok to Lisa Page? He's in the Walmart in Virginia, and he's in the Northern Virginia. He says, "I can smell the Trump supporters." It's like the disdain they have for us, country folk like me from Ohio and folks across the heartland and everything else. So, there's.
Who can Trump fire? Who can he not fire?
I've encouraged, and I've said this to the press, but I believe it. Come in, fire everyone you're allowed to fire. And then, frankly, fire a few people you're not allowed to fire. Make them take you to court to send a message like there is a new sheriff back in town, and we're going to make this agency, we're going to make this government work for the people. And then the real thing he's looking to do is put Elon in charge of making the government a little more efficient, for goodness sake. Which so I think that is the attitude that I think his team has. Certainly the attitude I think the president has.
So when you say come in and fire everybody, and some you're not supposed to fire, so what's the number? You just said earlier, 12,000 people in the history of America have been members of Congress. It's a very elite organization. It's very honorable to be one of 12,000. Hasn't happened that many times, and God knows how many people have lived in the U.S. since 1776. Yeah. What is that number of how many people to fire to clean house?
Well, there are certain people, historically, of course, you come in, we'll use the Justice Department since, we're on the Judiciary Committee. You fire all the U.S. attorneys. Just like there's, I think, I forget what the number, 100, I forget the number of U.S. attorneys in the districts around the country. You fire all them. I think you come in and get rid of the FBI director. You come in and get rid, obviously the cabinet's going to be new. But there's a level of people at the top of these agencies that are political appointments. I would like, you got to get rid of all that, I think. And then if there's some level below where you want to, like, this person, maybe they need to go too. And just, again, to demonstrate we're going to make the agencies not be weaponized against the American people, but actually serve we the people who pay their salaries, who pay the taxes. That's supposed to be how the government operates.
How do you filter out the swamp, though? How do you know who's swamp? How do you know who's swamp?
It's all about leadership at the agency. It'll take a while to figure it out.
What are signs? Like if I were to, because remember, like he talked about it, first time he came around, he didn't know anybody in D.C. So he's just kind of hiring people left and right. Nowadays there's rumors circulating who he's going to hire as his chief of staff that's going to help him with all the other people and all these names that we're hearing about. But how do you identify who's swamp?
I think it's like any organization. You have to have leadership matters. So, okay, if you got to pick the guy who's going to, again, let's say, lead the FBI and say, okay, here's how we're operating. We're not going to be, kicking in the door of some pro-life activists in Philadelphia and put him in handcuffs in front of his wife and children. We're gonna handle things different. Just an example that come to mind. But it all starts with the people at the top, and it starts with smart people who are committed to the Constitution and them getting in there, and whether it's what they've done in business, identifying key people who they can trust, who are going to do the right thing. I think it's all about leadership. And of course, that starts with President Trump as commander-in-chief and head of the executive branch, and then right on down through each of these agencies.
How different is the approach on the second term? Because in my mind, I'm thinking strategy. First term, you're not going to do everything because you kind of will do 60% of what you want to do, but you got to keep some of the real stuff that you want to do on your second term to get reelected, so you're not a one-term president because that's embarrassing. You want to be a two-term. So maybe you'll keep the 40 and surprise everybody on the second term because you don't give a shit about getting reelected, right? Okay. So how different is it now, second term, not back-to-back, if he wins, how different is a second term being used on a few different lenses that I'm looking at this? One, if I'm mainstream media, Trump gets elected, I don't know if Trump is my enemy anymore. I think the number one enemy for me will be who's going to be constant, which is probably going to be Elon. And I think the number two enemy for me will be J.D. Vance because he can be a two-term president. So I think Trump actually drops to 3 long-term, 1 short-term, but he goes to 3 long-term because Vance is actually formidable enough that he can go up toe-to-toe against anybody, right?
Oh, yeah.
So now, what different kind of a Trump are we going to see in this second term that we didn't see on the first term?
Well, I think he even admitted this in his recent interview with our conversation with Joe Rogan, that one of the things I think Rogan asked him what did any regrets, and he said some of the people he hired in the first term, and I know he regrets Jeff Sessions and stuff that he did at the Justice Department. So I think he will come in a much better way, and like he's already thinking about, I assume, and his team is, and Lutnick is doing the transition. Getting ready if and when President Trump wins, which again, I think he's going to, putting together that team is going to be ready to go. The other thing is, this is why it's important we win the Senate and maintain the majority in the House, is I think the mandate is clear if we win everything. Reauthorize the tax cuts, get this economy going. Stop and think about it. Democrats win, they're talking about taxing unrealized gains. Maybe one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. So we win, we reauthorize the tax cuts, put the tax package in place, secure the border. A lot of that President Trump can do, executive order, dealing with Mexico, getting back to remain in Mexico, working with the Mexican government and then common sense energy policy. I mean, energy is the key. I always say, if you want to, the world is safer and better when America leads. If you want to lead militarily, diplomatically, you have to lead economically. You want to lead economically, you got to have readily available energy at affordable cost. Get back to common sense energy policy. And then continue the work on this, stopping these agencies from being weaponized against the country. I think that's the mandate. So come in, pick the people who are totally in agreement with 1, 2, 3, and protecting liberty and First Amendment, all the things that we've talked about, and then put them in place and let's go. So that's how it has to work. And I think the team, that transition team with Linda McMahon, Lutnick, Erik, and Don Jr. and all are working on putting that together. So if, in fact, next Tuesday goes like I think it's going to go, like I think we think it's going to go, hit the ground running and get, like President Trump, make America great again.
How different do you approach second versus first? You've been around 94 when he became president, when he went into this business. I think Clinton was president, right? First term.
I was in state government, but I came to Congress in 6 of the last 2 years of Bush administration.
Last 2 years of Bush.
And I had all of Obama, and then.
So how and you're a guy that studies history. You're the guy that studies this business. You're super competitive. How is second term typically treated differently than first?
Yeah, I think in a broad context, legacy. I think President Trump already has a great legacy. He put the embassy in Jerusalem. He got out of the Iran deal. He built a wall. He cut regulations. He did the big tax cut package. He put conservatives, 3 of them, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, Coney Barrett, on the court, changed the federal court system in a good way, lower judges as well. So I think he's already got a pretty, I tell people, best president in my lifetime as far as doing what he said he was going to do, certainly. And I think now it's legacy. Can he do better in the Middle East and build on the Abraham Accords? Can he get our economy roaring again? Can he get back to common sense energy policy where we're, as he says, we're no longer just energy independent, we're energy dominant. All those things, I think, is what he's focused on.
Okay. Who is the leader or the leaders of the swamp? You've been in it. You negotiate with some of these guys. Who are some of the leaders and influencers, the E.F. Huttons of the swamp?
Well, I just think it's the left. The left and all their crazy policies and how the bureaucracy seems to sort of move that way. And I guess, I always say the left seems to me the divide in America today. This is what Sarah Huckabee Sanders said this, and I totally agree with her. If you remember, she did the response to the State of the Union a year and a half ago. She did a great job. And it's a tough job because the response, you're in a room talking to a camera. The president comes into the chamber and the House, the Senate, the Supreme Court, the lights, the camera. It's a big, but her she did the response, and her best line I thought was when she said, "The divide in America today is normal versus crazy." And so it seems like the whole bureaucracy's got these crazy left-wing positions, and the left just sort of reinforces it.
But name, faces, who are they?
It's the top people. Again, I look at look at Homeland Security. I kind of focus on the agencies that we deal with, but look at Homeland Security. They tried to set up a disinformation governance board. Mayorkas will come in front of Congress and never give us an answer to any question. And when he does, he says he doesn't know. I mean, I remember a couple years ago asking him, at the time there were so many, 40-some people, I think was the number at the time, who had come into the country who were on the terrorist watch list. And I said, what's their status? Have they been detained? Where are they detained? And he said, I don't know. I'm like, well, dude, you're the head of Homeland Security. The Homeland Security, you kind of should know if they've been detained, and if so, where are they detained at? And he had to get back with it. So it's people like Mayorkas and the key people who work in the upper parts of the Department of Homeland Security as an example. And I think the same thing applies at Justice. Top people of the Justice Department are they're the ones who run the Justice Department. And then there's just some probably people you don't know the names of.
That's who I want to know.
Career people who were there, who were working. Well, here's a good example. The Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department is going after Virginia. I talked to Glenn Youngkin the other night, because Virginia is saying we only think citizens should vote in the election. And they're saying, oh, you can't do that 90 days before an election. That violates the National Voting Registration Act. And so now Virginia has to go all the way to the Supreme Court for something that's common sense, because the Civil Rights Division and the lawyers there and the Justice Department are going after Young. They're doing the same thing in Ohio. They sent our Secretary of State a similar letter. Our Secretary of State called me 2 weeks ago, said, look, I got this letter. All these questions are asking, all to kind of intimidate, it seems to me, Secretary of States and governors who are doing the right thing. So it's those kind of folks who kind of career people, but at the top levels of that. And that's why I'm saying fire everyone you're allowed, and maybe fire some of those people to send a message.
What leverage do you have the most when you're negotiating with your peers? Like when you're sitting there and you guys are behind closed doors, cameras are not on, okay? Are there certain people that we're not getting nothing done with that guy or that gal? And then you're like, no, here's a leverage. We're going to get it done because these are the 3, 4, 5 things that we use as a lever for leverage.
The ultimate leverage is the one we're not willing to use much, is the power of the purse. I mean, that's how the founders envisioned it. Legislative branch supposed to use the power of the purse, supposed to use the appropriations process to say, hey, agency, if you're not going to give us information we need, if you're not going to do things right for the American people, sorry, you're not getting as much money as you got last time, or maybe we're going to hold your budget up until you do. I mean, that is exactly how the founders envisioned the process working. Unfortunately, what I think's happened is we've let the executive branch we're not willing to exercise that authority in the way we. Now, you can't be crazy about it. Like, nobody wants a government shutdown, but I've argued if we're in this negotiation, if you pick one really powerful issue and stand firm on it and negotiate with the executive branch, I think you have a chance to win. You can't be saying we need these 10 things done, or we're not going to give you money for this agency, that. It gets all confusing. But if you're focused and I think surgical about it, you can use the power of the purse, and we got to do a better job of doing that.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense to me, right? Why don't they? Why don't you use it? For example, hey, we need $2.1 billion for this. No, we're not giving it to you. You see what happened? Look at Congress. We could have fixed this border a long time ago if they would have only approved that. No, but $60 billion was going to Ukraine. Whatever the number was, $19 billion was going to Israel and Palestine. Only $18 billion of it was going to the border and all the other stuff. You guys were 80% of it was going to, no, but that was a border bill. Less than 15%, 18% of the money was going to the actual border. You named it a border bill, but they're able to get out there, right? Why don't you just stay tight with it? Why release that money? Why release that money to those folks?
Look, I agree with you. But you got to have the votes to do it. And there are times that
Who controls the House, though?
Well, I agree. I get it. But some of our colleagues just don't want to go there.
Who has the biggest backbone you've worked with that had the biggest brass that could say no and we're not going to compromise? Who's somebody that the other side was like, damn, we can't get nothing done through this guy?
Well, President Trump can negotiate, and we got the tax cut package done when he was there. He did just a number. We got regulatory reform. He stood firm and got his Supreme Court justices confirmed. He's been I think real tough.
Who else? But not president.
But you mean in the Congress?
Right. So Congress, Senate, somebody where you're like, they fear this guy.
Well, I think it has to be. You have to have a majority of the Republic. You got to have a majority of the Congress who's willing to stand firm on something. I argue. An example I use is from a year ago. We have these continuing resolutions. Not the way you should operate. You should just pass the appropriation bills, the individual bills. But continuing resolutions aren't all bad if you're gaining something in the process. And I argued when we were in one of these situations a year ago, going up to September 30th, the end of our fiscal year, I said, if we're going to do a continuing resolution, let's stand firm on something. Say, okay, we'll fund the government at the level you guys want. We'll do it. We won't do the individual bills. We'll fund but we want to fix the border. And we should have attached, I thought, some simple language which said, no money can be used to process or release into the country any new migrants. So just call a timeout on the asylum claims. Not a timeout on people with a legitimate visa or anything, but people coming in claiming asylum, because we know most of those people aren't legitimate claims. Let's just call a timeout on that and hold firm on that. After all, even Mayor Adams in New York was saying, we can't have millions and millions of migrants just coming into our country like the Biden and Harris administration was doing. And unfortunately, we couldn't get the votes for it. So that's how I think you play. I learned a long time ago in politics. One really good issue beats 15 pretty good issues every time. And we had a really good issue that if we're in a fight on appropriations and on spending, we should have focused on. That to me was the really good
What's
issue.
the longest government shutdown we ever had? 35-day government, the longest years.
Something like that, yeah.
1995, 1996 led to 380 federal workers furloughed and additional 420. So when we say government shutdown, who doesn't get paid? Does it go all the way down to military, Army, Air Force, National Guard? Is it everybody? Or what is government shutdown?
No, there's essential services that do get paid and aren't shut down. In the end, it's really relatively small, and you can make sure, like we could say, well, we want to fund the military, but what the left will typically do is they'll hold up the defense bill, and they'll say, we're not going to pass the defense bill until you pass all the other welfare spending.
Who's better at holding the power of purse, the left or the right?
Well, I mean, the left wants to spend money all the time, so we definitely want to spend less than what the left does. The Republicans.
But you're saying if they're using military, spending, and that's a big amount, right? We're spending military. Who's better at using that card? We're not gonna give you entitlements. We're not gonna let you spend money.
The Democrats use that
They're tighter to
every cycle. Every year they will say, because frankly, the number one responsibility of the federal government is secure the country. So we should pass that should be the first bill we pass. Do the National Defense Authorization, authorize where it needs to go, fund the Defense Department, make sure our military needs what it needs, and military families, are taken care of, and the weapon systems we need to deal with China and North Korea, Russia, everything else. Fine, pass that first, and then negotiate. But the left always says no. We're holding that up because they know Republicans. And that's central to the defense of the country. They hold that up because they want all the other. Same with the farm bill.
When I was trying to be a firefighter, I went to the fire department in Granada Hills, And I'll never forget, I walked. I didn't have a car. My car hasn't been delivered yet, the Mitsubishi Eclipse. I was waiting for it. I went knocked on the door. Hey, I'd like to be a firefighter. Really? Yeah, I just got out of the Army. I TS'd a week ago. I'd like to get a job. There's a 5-year freeze for firefighters right now in LA County. I'm like, really? Yeah. Seriously? Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I thought I was going to get out. And by the way, thank God there was, because what I ended up doing was great. But if I was a firefighter, who knows? I may have retired 7 years ago from being a firefighter, and 8 years ago from being a firefighter. But why can't when's the last time you guys had a freeze? We're shutting down the border. We're not taking anybody for a year, 2 years until we figure this thing out. We're shutting down such and such department. We're not hiring anybody, a freeze for the next 2 years. When's the last time you guys had a freeze?
I can't recall. We couldn't even, think about this. We couldn't even, in one of the bills, the fund of the government, I think this was last year, we couldn't even stop the FBI money that had already been appropriated. We couldn't even claw back money that had been appropriated for a new FBI headquarters. Like, what? There's no way the American people want the FBI to get a new headquarters. The FBI that spied on President Trump, the FBI that had a memorandum in the Richmond field office that if you're a pro-life Catholic, you're an extremist. The FBI that, can't tell us who planted the pipe bombs on January 6th, who leaked the Dobbs opinion, who had cocaine at the White House. They can't tell us any of that stuff, but they need a headquarters? Like, you got to be kidding me. So some of these things are frustrating.
Let me ask you a question. What happened here? Everybody wanted to know what happened here. Play this clip, Rob. I don't know if you've seen this or not. Maybe you can lower the audio a little bit, Rob. Increase it a little bit. This went viral. Everybody got an envelope. President Carter, that's Hillary, Bill. Jeb gets the same envelope. Mom shows it to him. Look at Jeb's reaction and her reaction. Her reaction.
And refresh my memory, was this at John McCain's funeral? Whose funeral?
George
This
H.W.
is senior.
Bush.
George
Senior's
H.W.
funeral.
Oh, okay.
What is this envelope? Do you know anything
I
about
have
it?
no idea. I have no idea.
What would typically be an envelope like this where you're giving for Jeb to react the way he did for his wife?
Well, my first thought is, if I remember correctly, President Trump did not attend, or did he?
He did, but he didn't
He
get
did.
an
I
envelope.
believe he ended up having to leave early for something. So
Yeah.
he did not get an envelope, but he was in attendance at the funeral.
Okay. I don't know. My first inclination was something about Trump, but I have no idea. What's your guess?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about, if you buy into the idea that there's establishment, anti-establishment, okay, it's fair to say Clinton, Obama, Bush, Biden, that's all establishment, right? They've been around for a while. Prescott, Senior, GW.
But
Jeb.
did Cheney get one too? I saw Dick Cheney there. Did he get one? Do you know?
I didn't see. I couldn't.
Okay.
tell.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then Obama doesn't have a big reaction. They're pros. Hillary Clinton, not big reaction. You know, you're seeing some of this stuff. Jeb's reaction, big reaction.
Yeah.
I just wonder, like, you know, who gave the envelope? Do we know who gave the envelope to everybody? Because even Obama's got the envelope. You know what happens if you're receiving the envelope? If you're receiving the envelope, you're not the leader. If you're a handler, it's kind of like, you know, when they say, you know, hey, I just got a $250,000 check for doing XYZ. And then people say, yeah, I want to know who cut the check.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
who cut the
sure.
check? Oh, the guy that cut the check is the guy I want to know, right?
Yeah.
Who's handing the envelopes over? It's got to be someone's assistant that's relaying a message. So who would that? Who's more powerful than
And
those
this was
guys?
in the church service.
This is in the church service
at the funeral.
Is it kind of like it almost looks like, hey kids, this is your allowance. Man, I wish my allowance was bigger. What is this? That sucks. I want a bigger allowance than this, right? It's not like it's a love letter. And it's, by the way, if you go back to the clip with the white envelope, it's not a letter and it's not a paragraph. Go to Jeb. Look how long it takes for Jeb to realize what's in the envelope. It didn't take 7 seconds. Press play. Look, count the seconds. She reacts. He sees. That's half a second. So half a second is what? A number? A half a second reaction to something can only be if it's a... And then it's got to be small enough so the people behind you don't see. Maybe it says, there is no bone and ribeye for dinner tonight. Right, Rob? Maybe it's just chicken only. It's like, Jeb is like, are you kidding me, Mom? I need more options than chicken.
Yeah.
I like steak. Maybe it's like a vegetarian. He's upset that there's no vegetarian option on the menu. It can be that innocent. Let's not go deeper here,
It was
Jim.
almost like a disgusting look, though. So it wasn't.
Well, some people don't like chicken, right?
But it wasn't a disappointed look. It was a disgusted look.
That's a good point.
From both.
So you're saying it's more like caviar, like he just doesn't like, because some people are disgusted by caviar.
From Mrs. Bush and...
Play it again, Rob, just that one clip. Look at Jeb. He looks like he needs to go to the bathroom. Press it again. Look at that. Wow.
Yeah, that's...
Can you speculate? Even somebody... I'm surprised you've never seen this.
Yeah, I have. I have, and I'm actually kind of surprised I haven't too.
Have you?
Then, is this all continuous or is it spliced? Is it like that whatever number of seconds? That's how it happened.
That's how the video this video that's been viral and a lot of people have shared it and talked about it. Everybody wants to know what's in the white envelope.
Yeah,
it's only been seen in this pattern of sequencing of clips. Now somebody may have edited and put it together. Who knows? But it is all from the event of George Bush Sr.'s funeral.
Yeah.
And it's not like, for one part of it, I'm like, okay, maybe who's speaking tonight? You would have known who's already speaking, so it's not speaking.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a meeting later on today. Maybe it's Trump left. Trump won't be here. He left. He's not here.
Yeah.
He's doing this. He said this. What is it?
Well, that was my first thought.
Right.
Because, there's obviously no love lost between President Trump and Jeb Bush. I mean, back during the campaign.
What did Trump say? He says, oh, you're really tough, Jeff. Yeah, you're really tough. Well, let me get this straight. I started off all the way on the end. Now I'm over here. You're at 3%. I'm at 41%. And soon you're going to be off the stage here, right? That's the whole he's tough exchange that they had.
Yeah. Well, and he called him low energy, all the time.
He wasn't lying, though. I mean,
I know.
There's a difference between being a president and a governor, right? Is this the clip, Rob?
I'm looking. I'm not sure.
I don't think this is it. I think there's a different one. You'll find it may be, but I don't know if that's the one or not. Are you still thinking about that white envelope? Is that kind of where you're still going?
It's like that's unbelievable. I'm curious because it is a disgusted look. It looks like from Jeb Bush.
Have you ever been at events where you've gotten a white envelope and you're like, holy shit, what is this?
I have not.
Yeah,
I have not. Yeah.
I don't know.
But how about President Trump? You made me think when you showed that picture of him on the debate stage back in 2015. He comes to that. I've told him this. I said, you fundamentally changed American politics. So the first debate was 2015 in Cleveland because remember the 2016 convention was in Cleveland. And I remember that day I told Paul, I said, come with me today. We're doing some stops in our district, in the northern part of our district. I said, we'll go on up to Cleveland and we'll watch the debate. And so she came with me. And if you remember, there was always the junior varsity debate, right? And then there was the varsity debate.
I remember that. Yeah, of course.
And Trump was always center stage varsity debate because he was leading in the polls. And and if you remember, the first question from Megyn Kelly,
of course,
was
Rosie O'Donnell. You've called women this, that. That's not true. Only Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah, and when I talked to the president about this, I said, you fundamentally changed politics. This is what my boys tell me. He says, Dad, he changed politics because everyone else would have answered it with, well, I was taken out of context and, they'd have yabba dabba dooed it. And he just leaned in and gave the response he did. And what was amazing in the arena, everybody laughed. Every guy laughed. Every lady laughed. Everybody, because my wife was sitting beside me, she was laughing like everyone.
Oh, you were in the room?
Yeah, we were in there when he did. And then, of course, the other thing he did, when I was telling this story about how he changed politics, literally in the first debate, he goes, yeah, but that wasn't the best part of the debate. I go, really? He goes, yeah, the best part of the debate was he goes later, he says, if you remember, Megyn Kelly asked, how many of you will pledge to support the Republican nominee? Whoever wins, how many of you will pledge to support? Raise your hand.
He didn't raise his hand.
And he didn't raise his hand. And she looks at him, she goes, well, Mr. Trump, you didn't raise your hand. And he gave a totally American common sense answer, right? He goes, kind of looks both ways, goes, depends on who it is, right? And which is exactly where Americans are. Depends on who it is. And since that time, it's been, Trump's dominated the party and I think dominated politics for, 10 years now.
Which one? Is this the clip, Rob?
Yes, I'm just having internet issues. Let's see.
Let's see if it, okay. If it doesn't play, it's totally fine. So, yeah, I mean, look, for us that we're on the outside and we just kind of watch this stuff taking place, you sit there and you wonder, who really are these power players? Who really are these guys that have the influence behind closed doors? Who's telling these guys what to do? Have you met any of these guys? Have these guys, because yesterday Ben Shapiro posted something out. He says, I got a text, right, Rob? If you want to pull up the text that Ben Shapiro got, he says, I just got this text from, was it New York Times? I think it's a New York Times. Ben Shapiro, New York Times text. New York Times. And he shares it that he got, if you go lower, it'll show what the text was. Yeah, that's the one right there. Hey, good day, Mr. Shapiro. I hope you're doing well. I'm Nico Grant, reporter, New York Times. Wanted to give you an opportunity to comment for an upcoming article that's taking a look at how political commentators have discussed the upcoming election on YouTube. We rely on Okay. October 29. Here's what points, talking points, media matters. Identify 286 YouTube videos between May and August that contain election misinformation. Researchers identify videos posted by you in those 4 months. We feature a clip of you saying your party rigged many of the voting rules in advance. I have also a few questions. Are you a member of the YouTube Partner Program? If so, how frequently does YouTube demonetize you? Has YouTube sent you messages, emails, or notices last year that your content was... So he posted. Then Tucker says he got it as well, and Tucker gave him a very nice response. Yeah. I don't know if you heard what he said to him.
I can imagine.
Yeah, he said F off or something like that, right? And thank you for your prompt response. Would you like to address any of these? I would like to participate in an attempt to censor me. No thanks, but I do hope you'll quote me, and I write above. Note that I told you to F off, which I am now doing. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, by the way, Ben Shapiro came and testified, and literally a week later, Ben's testimony was powerful, and he testified on this GARM issue we were talking about briefly earlier, because what they were doing to the Daily Wire, and then, like I said, GARM no longer in business, out of business. Oh, here he is. Yeah, he did a great job.
How long is it, Ron? We don't need to play it right now. It's a longer one. But I guess a part of it with everything that's going on, let's talk Google, right? I mean, for the last 3 days, everybody's been posting, Rogan's video is not showing up. Rogan's video is not showing up. They're censoring, all this other stuff. And then Rogan comes out and says, well, when it comes onto YouTube, yes, it wasn't showing up. But if you want to watch it, we post it over here.
Yeah.
And then YouTube even responds back and says, look, we were having some issues. It is true that other clips were showing up, not the main interview. We are working on it. We apologize for inconvenience. So YouTube responds, and the average person gets to decide whether they're censoring or not. That's up to the average person to think about. And then when you go a little bit deeper and you look at the numbers, you'll notice the number one company that donates the most to the Democratic Party is Google, right? It's not something that's not known. It's public. You can look at what the company is that gives the most to Trump. That's public. If you want to look at who gave the most to Kamala, right there, Google number one by a mile. Then it's Microsoft. Then Brown & Brown, J&J, Apple, Oracle, Wells, NVIDIA. If you look at Trump, American Airlines, Walmart, Boeing, Lockheed, United Airlines, FedEx, Wells Fargo, Johnson & Johnson. And it's not even close when you look at the numbers that's been given, right? Yeah. Small amounts. So you've worked with Google before. You work with those guys going back and forth. How much of it you think is still happening to the levels where they are favoring Kamala, they are favoring the other candidate, not Trump, trying to censor some of the interviews? Or are you at a point where you're starting to trust Google more than you did before?
I think all the left, media, tech, I think it all is biased to the left. It's like on your phone, do your news app, hit the news, and every single story, with the exception of Fox, that comes up, is negative on Trump or Vance or a Republican. It just every single one. So we just know that's the lay of the land. God bless Elon for buying Twitter. We now have a place where it's fair, where it's you know, like I said, the First Amendment's actually operating as the First Amendment. So that just, I always say the left has a template, a formula they follow all the time. The left tells a lie, big media reports the lie, big tech amplifies the lie, and then when you tell the truth, they call you a racist, or they'll call you something else. They'll call you the liar, or they'll call you whatever. And then pretty soon your position proves accurate, and then they're on to the next lie. And it's like Trump colluded with Russia. Total lie. We all knew it, what we thought it was at the time. We went through the facts. Mueller did a 2-year investigation, $30 million taxpayer money, concluded no collusion. No. But Schiff tells it, media reports it, big tech amplifies it. And frankly, if you're against it, I remember in so this is right in the middle of all that one. 2018, I get a call from a colleague, Congressman Gates, and he says, Jim, Twitter is shadow banning us. And at that time, it was like, was it 6 years ago? I was like, I didn't know what shadow banning, what is it? And he kind of explains it. Turned out it was right. Twitter was shadow banning 4 members of Congress: Gates, Nunes, Meadows, Jordan. Just happened to be the 4 guys who were digging into the whole Mueller thing and the whole Russia collusion as being BS. And sure enough, they said, well, we didn't mean to do it. It was a glitch in our algorithm, which is in essence what YouTube said today or yesterday. So I just feel like it always.
But between the 4, let's just go between the 3. Twitter, and I put Twitter aside. Go Google, Facebook, and Apple. Let's just say between those 3, right? Which one of them is most accommodating? Which one of them do you still not trust that they're still doing something behind closed doors?
Well, I think probably the one that's the most concerning is Google, because that's where it's like 80, 90% of searches happen on Google. So I guess I'm probably more concerned about that. I feel like it's gotten better, but is it fair? I think I'm probably like a lot of Americans, you just kind of wonder, but I feel like it's gotten better. And I'd like to think, frankly, that some of it's gotten better because of the work we've done on our committee, where where we've done these investigations and got facts out there on these various things. I mean, I know like Climate Action 100, number of people have left that organization too. So there's like, because of our investigations and so I do think it's getting better, but it requires, I think, Congress doing its oversight work.
So in regards to the Facebook letter that Zuck wrote, I don't know if you remember the letter that he wrote. Right? He wrote it to you guys. Yeah. And hey, at the end of the day, yes, I just want to read the main part to Honorable Jim Jordan, to you. Appreciate the committee. I welcome the opportunity to share what we've taken on. There's a lot to talk about around our government. So in 2021, senior officials from the Biden administration, including the White House, repeatedly pressured our teams for months to censor COVID-19, including humor and satire, and he's talking about Babylon Bee, and expressed a lot of frustration with our teams when we didn't agree. Ultimately, it was our decision whether or not to take down, and we own our decision, including COVID-19 related changes we made to our enforcement in the wake of this pressure. I believe the government pressure was wrong, and I regret that we were not more outspoken about it. I also think we made choices that, with the benefit of hindsight and new information, we wouldn't make today. Like I said to our teams at the time, I feel strongly that we should not compromise our content standards due to the pressure from any administration in either direction, and we're ready to push back if something like this happens again. Now, some of the people, when this was taken, I'm curious, because I'm talking to, because he wrote the letter to you.
Yep.
I said, so he's either being noble about it, and he's been spending a lot of time with the UFC guys, fighters. Anytime you're spending time with those guys, Dana, those guys are just America, fighting. It's very simple, libertarian mindset type of deal, little bit edgy, and he's liking being around those guys, right? He's actually getting along with being around those guys. It's either noble, it's number 2, he's sick of it on what's happened with it. 3, he's scared. 4, he's getting ready for Trump. That's going to be in office, and this was his way of saying, I don't think Biden's going to win. I think at the time Biden was still the candidate. What do you think was a reason for him? And by the way, if this letter would have come out in the next 7 days, that could have determined the election. Democrats are lucky this came out 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah.
The timing of this happening now could be like the to Comey saying to Hillary Clinton a week before, whatever it was, 5 days before the election, some say that was the reason why Trump won. So why do you think he wrote this letter publicly and shared it with everybody, including yourself?
Because he was tired of our investigation. We deposed 12 people at Meta, Facebook, from top level people all the way down to line level people, and we were getting the facts. I mean, we deposed Sir Nick Clegg, member of Parliament, number I think 3 at Meta. He sat for a long deposition, and the other thing, it basically admits 3 things in here. We were pressured to censor. We did in fact censor. And then he said later in the letter, he said, and he references the Hunter Biden laptop story, and then he references the fact that no more Zuckerbucks. He's not going to send a bunch of money.
$400 million.
Yeah, $400 million. Right. And then that I think impacted the election. And so I think he would just like, okay, we went out of this. We're going to admit to what actually happened, and he gave us the facts. And you know, we're continuing to look at this broad censorship issue, but I think that was the primary. But all the things you rattled off, it could have been all the above. But certainly at some point when we've deposed, I believe it was 12 people already at Facebook.
How's your relationship with him now?
I don't talk. I dealt with Clegg.
His people.
Yeah, I dealt with Clegg.
Got it.
And fine relationship with Clegg. He sat for a long deposition. I mean, one of the things I do remember that he said, and I think I can say this because I think we've released the deposition. He basically said, you know, 99%. I think 99% of his money doesn't come. You know, their business model is not politics. It's only like 1% of the. But the politics is like 99% of their problems when it gets into political stuff. And so that probably was part of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, between his team and Google's team, whose team is easier to deal with? Whose lawyers are easier to deal with? That are more accommodating?
Oh, I think we dealt with Facebook.
They're easier to deal with.
Yeah, if I would talk with some of our staff lawyers, but I'm pretty sure it's Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And like I said, we deposed their number 3 guy.
You mentioned Matt Gaetz earlier, right? 10 minutes ago. Mm-hmm. And Trump at an event yesterday, I think, or 2 days ago, he said, "There's a secret Matt Gaetz and I know." Can you play this clip? I'm curious to know if you know what this secret is about. Go ahead, Rob.
We got to get the senators elected because we can take the Senate pretty easily. And I think with our little secret, we're going to do really well with the House, right? Our little secret is having a big impact. He and I have a secret. We'll tell you what it is when the race is over.
Do you have any idea what he's talking about?
Well, I think he might be talking to the speaker because I saw a clip. Maybe it's Matt too. But I was thinking that was with Speaker Johnson. I don't. Unless he's referring. Oh, maybe someone said Matt Gaetz here. Okay. Was this in Madison Square Garden? Was this Sunday night or was this?
Yeah, MSG.
Okay. I don't know, but it was funny. Johnson was having some. I saw a clip where Johnson was having some fun with the press on talking about the secret too. It could be all the President Trump is really good late in campaigns. Doing these teletown halls where he calls into a member of Congress's district and people get on the line, and President Trump's just good in those settings and firing people up to go vote. So they may be referring to that, it may be something else. I have no idea.
Okay. Congress, Senate, Governor, President, your experience. When you, in sports, if you go and you look at offensive line, they have a certain personality about themselves, protective, mm-hmm. Big brother. You kind of see a pattern of who they were growing up, all this other stuff, right? Corner, safety, little bit different of a personality. Wide receivers, typically the number one position for divas that, they're always like, oh my God, it's not fair. You didn't throw me the ball enough. Always very demanding, temperamental. If you think about the history of wide receivers and all this stuff. And then if you go to running back, different quarterback, leader,
yeah.
Wanting to make the team come together. There's different wiring for different things, right? Profile of somebody that's in Congress versus Senate versus governor versus president. Is there a difference? Like if you were to say Congress, typically their strength is this is their wiring. Senate, they're typically known for this. Governor, they're typically this. And president is this.
I would say, like with anything, typically you find driven people, people who set goals, work hard, and accomplish things. The Congress is, I think, literally totally, and this is the founders' intent as well, I think, is a reflection of the country. You sit down in Congress, like sometimes we're in there voting and you're all sitting around and there's no assigned seating in the House, but you're sitting in there and you just kind of look around. They're all kinds of people, all kinds of backgrounds. And sometimes you wonder, what's the old joke about Congress? The old joke is when you first get there, you look around like, wow, I can't believe I'm in Congress. And then once you're there a while, you look around, you say, I can't believe they're in Congress, right? But it's like that's their district. And it's truly a composite of the nation. The Senate is a little more, great people, I good friends over there, but the Senate's a little more, the Senate, it's like the upper chamber. And I guess I would think, and this, I think just, most Americans would probably, I guess, believe this and think this, is the governor and the president are like executives. So they're like a leader of like a CEO kind of mindset, more so than the House where it's, committee work, and it's not quite the same as a CEO mindset, particularly in the House.
Would you say House is like in a military enlisted, Senate is more officers? Is that a way of looking at it?
Well, in the Senate, the old joke about the Senate too is, there are 100 senators think they're the next president, right? So they're all
think highly of themselves.
Well, yeah, and it's not bad. It's just the way it is. I'm reading a great book right now. It's a Team of Rivals.
Great book, yeah.
And it's amazing. Just
Lincoln, right? How he was able to work with everybody. It's an 800-page book. Oh, yeah.
And Bates and their quest to be important in politics and achieve high office. And it's fascinating. I'm only about 160 pages in, but it's a fascinating book. So, yeah, there may be some of that. It's... But the House is truly, and again, I think this is how the founders want it. It's the country. You got all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds, college degrees, non-college degrees. You got business people, non-business people. You got it all. Doctors, lawyers. You got everything, and it's again a reflection of the nation.
Yeah, Rob, did you have the next clip on what I'm looking at here? Okay, well, I don't know if you have it or not, but I'll go to the next one. So, New World Order. Right, you hear this phrase, New World Order, New World Order, New World Order, right? And yeah, I went with our crew, Brandon, Rob, and I were like, listen, when was that phrase first used? For example, when I lived in Iran, 78 to 89, almost 11 years, right? So I said, Iran used the phrase death upon America first, right? Mark bad America. And if you look at who's the first person that said death upon America, Rob, if you Google that, the first country that said death upon America was North Korea. Okay, and they said it, I think, in 54, 59. If you zoom in, can you see what the exact date is? If you go on the Wikipedia, Death to America, and you Google, type in North Korea, type in Control F North Korea and go to it, it'll give you the date. Zoom in a little bit, Rob. Yeah, North Korea, thank you. If you can zoom in, go lower. 1979 was Iran, but keep going to North Korea. It should tell you 1950s, right there. 1950s is the first time. So 2 countries have only used the phrase death upon America. That should tell us something about who says that. Iran and North Korea, right?
Yeah.
And prior to that, nobody ever said death upon America. I'm curious. So the first time the word New World Order was used in the States was exactly 9/11, 1990.
Wow.
9/11, 1990 by Bush Sr.
Yeah, I remember when Bush Sr. did it. I didn't know that was a day.
Well, the speech that we have, he said this in a different meeting, but this one is not 9/11. This is another meeting right after that. I think this is January or February of 91.
This looks like State of the Union.
Yeah, it is. Play the clip, Rob.
A new partnership of nations has begun, and we stand today at a unique and extraordinary moment. The crisis in the Persian Gulf, as grave as it is, also offers a rare opportunity to move toward an historic period of cooperation. Out of these troubled times, our 5th objective, a new world order, can emerge, a new era, freer from the threat of terror, stronger in the pursuit of justice, and more secure in the quest for peace. An era in which the nations of the world, East and West, North and South, can prosper and live in harmony. 100 generations have searched for this elusive path to peace, while 1,000 wars raged across the span of human endeavor.
You can pause it right there.
And
what do you think about this?
I remember at the time, I was
26, 25?
Yeah, so I'd been 26. So I didn't think a whole lot about it. I mean, I was on the wrestling mat, helping guys become All-American and hopefully win some Big Ten championships. But it is kind of interesting when you look back. It's been that long. I am nervous though in today's world about these guys in Europe who they all fly over there and they do their where's that event they do every year?
Davos, World Economic
the Davos,
Forum,
of course,
Schwab,
and they're all the Klaus guy, the Klaus guy,
yeah,
because he just seems kind of creepy and strange to me, and talking about some of these same kind of terms. Like, look, I'm for America. I want America to be the greatest country, the leading country. One of the things we've traveled to Israel several times, my wife and I, with other members of Congress. And when you're over there, one of the things the folks in Israel will tell you is they say, the best way you can help us, the best way America can help Israel is for America to stay strong. If America is strong, we're better off. And I would argue the world's a better place if America leads. Our values, our principles, our economy. And so I'm not, there he is. I'm not too interested in this.
He looks like a sweetheart, though. You got to give it to him. His voice is even better. When he speaks, it's just kind of like, what a gentle giant.
Yeah, it's
you ever heard him speak?
I have.
It's like like Tony Robbins, motivational speaker, just fires you up. It's just.
Yeah. I've got to listen to him now.
No, you have to. Just look how sweet. This is the kind of voice that if you late at night, you have a lot of your stress, let him play, you will fall asleep. You'll have nightmares, but you'll fall asleep. Go ahead, Rob.
Ce nouveau monde, on doit accepter une transparence, et je dirais même une transparence totale. Tout va être transparent.
Yeah. It's better when he does it in English, but Rob speaks French, and he likes to always go to the French videos. He tricks us that way.
This anti-system movement. What we are seeing is a revolution against the system. So fixing the present system is not enough.
You can pause that.
Now,
just so you want running things, right? Like, holy cow.
But on the inside, are you so, like, I remember I'm in an insurance company. I'm a regular guy. I'm coming up. So, and then all of a sudden, I'm making some noise. Then I become a player. Then I become an executive, chairman with the company, and I'm doing very well, and I'm one of the guys that's in the face of the company, and I get invited to this one meeting where 54, 56 some, CEOs, vice presidents are going to be in this room. And I walk in to just size everybody up, right? To kind of see what I'm like, oh, wow. I used to look up to that guy. Damn, he's been late to every flipping meeting, and he leaves early, and he's always got a drink in his hand. Wow. Disappointed.
Yeah.
What a great speaker you are on stage. Dude, you're a schlep. What was that all about? So I'm like, okay, that guy right there, he keeps talking about he wants his commissions to be higher for people that are no longer selling. The last time he sold something was 12 years ago. All he talks about is his handicap. He doesn't like work. He's done. This guy over here, that guy's a killer. He's going places. Who is she? Let me go see if I can have dinner with those guys. And then when you go there, and then some of the guys that have been around for 5 to 10 years will coach you. And they'll say, okay, you want the law of the land? Yes. Those guys have been done. Those 3 are about to get a divorce. That guy's got a cocaine addiction. That guy's a gambler. He's almost lost all his money. That other guy's going through a major issue in his personal life. That guy's got the most talent out of all of us, but he doesn't think big enough. That person's a great person to stay close to because everybody trusts him and he'll never lie to you. Not the biggest earner, but he's the number one character guy in the room. And I remember that moment. I'm like, oh my God, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Innocent, right? It's naive.
Yeah.
26, 27 years old.
Yeah.
I'm in a room like this, 28 years old. So for you, when you walk in and you're in it, and now you've been in it for 30 years and you're around it, is anybody talking about the New World Order stuff and what things they're worried about and what their concerns is? No, they're just coming to work and doing their jobs.
People, I think we're rightly concerned about China. I'm real concerned about this talk of central bank digital currency. I don't want the government seeing every purchase we make and all this. It's like that's frightening, particularly when you think about what we've seen the government do.
About CBDC.
Yeah,
right.
that's crazy. And I'm not on the financial service. I got some buddies on that committee who are more experts in, I'm not an expert at all, but they're experts in this and they understand it. And they're like, this is bad. And because I've seen it in other areas. I mean, you talk about people in the government that I think are part of the swamp. We deposed as part of this, if you remember the letter, the 51 intel officials who did this in 2020.
Yes.
So we deposed Clapper and Brennan and Morrell. Morrell's the guy who put it all together, organized it all. At the urging of Tony Blinken, who was working for the Biden campaign. But when we depose these guys, they're the ones who got this attitude. Like in some ways, they would strike me as like the Klaus guy here. When we depose Brennan and Clapper, the arrogance and the idea that they still think Trump is some like danger. I mean, it's like it's crazy. So those are the guys that I think are a concern. I don't know if they're we got members who come focused on their job, serving their constituents back home, which I think is our primary responsibility. But there are some big interest. We got to make sure our military's.
Who are the bad guys? Who are the real bad guys that you're? No, but I mean specific. The bad guys, not the people that are like. Is Chuck Schumer a bad guy?
I think they're. I always say not all Democrats are crazy, but the left that controls their party is. And the left, I mean, you go down the list of all the crazy policy positions. It's crazy to defund the police. The left believes that, though. It's crazy not to have a border. Left believes that. It's crazy to let non-citizens vote in our election. Left believes that. It's crazy to say men should compete against women in sports. But you could just keep going. So it's the left that controls their party.
Who is for sale? Do you know the people that are for sale? Are there anybody that's for sale that they'll sell America for anything?
I wouldn't put it in that terms. I would just put it in like the political the energy in the Democrat Party is from the left, and the left has this. I mean, look at what's happened. Look what happened on college campuses with. I mean, you had people protesting in favor of Hamas, for goodness sake. They're terrorists. So, and because of that, you have members of, I think, people in elected position who kind of waffle on their positions on Israel, for goodness sake. It's like, so I think that's the concern. It's the energy in their party is the left, and the left is now in control of their party. Much so that you got members of the Democrat Party saying we're going to go to executive session so no one can hear what RFK Jr. is going to testify to in a hearing on censorship. I mean, that's crazy.
But to me, you could be pro abortion, right? And pro-choice. They call it pro-choice nowadays. And you can make your argument, and maybe you're an atheist. Maybe you're an agnostic. Maybe you're not a Christian. Maybe you're a Scientologist. Like, hey, man, pro-choice. Let the woman decide. But that's what you believe in, right? Maybe you believe in higher taxes. Billionaires don't pay enough money. They don't pay enough taxes. Mm-hmm. Okay, maybe you haven't done research that 80+% of the taxes are being paid by the people that are making money. The bottom 50% pays 4% of all the taxes. The bottom 50% pays 4% of all the taxes. You do a little bit of research and like, oh shit, I didn't know that. I thought they never paid that. So we can have that conversation. But are there people that are evil? Are there people that genuinely are driven by power, and evil tendencies that they're willing to sell their country to somebody else where they're for sale that a China can come and go after them? Is that how it is, or it's just a pure differentiation in policies?
No, I don't think it's treasonous or anything like that. I think there's people who they believe all the crazy left stuff. I mean, they think even though socialism never worked anywhere it's been tried, somehow it can work here because we're so smart and we'll be in charge, and it'll be the first place it actually is works. I mean, I think naive. They want political power. They think in their particular part of the country that's the right position. So it's politics. It's they believe it. It's all that, but I don't think it's corrupt.
You got 4 kids.
Yeah.
Did you send all of them to college?
They all went to college. Yeah.
Okay, so
all graduated too.
Really? Okay, fantastic. Congrats. So I got 4 kids, and if one of my guys' ex-wives was with me, and we were talking. It's me, him, her, and another couple here, and my wife. And she's like a big AOC fan. She had just come from a rally, and she loved AOC just like 10 years ago. And I said, let me ask you a question. Why do you believe in socialism so much? Are you kidding me? All this money rich people making, look what they're... I said, just out of curiosity, in high school, what was your favorite subject? Journalism and, English. I said, okay. What was your least favorite subject? Oh, I hate math. I'm like, I wonder if the pattern and the profile of somebody that likes the liberal left policies, they're terrible at math. So maybe logic and reason and that is a little bit lower. And by the way, there's a lot of data that proves that what percentage of school teachers give money to the left. 98% of English teachers do. Big. And the lowest one is math teachers.
Yeah, math, science, engineering.
So your 4 kids that went to school, did they go to any schools that are did they go to like Hillsdale or did they go to Open to?
All Big Ten.
Oh, they went to Big Ten.
Ohio State, Wisconsin, Iowa.
Did any one of them ever go to school and to call you back and say, Dad, I don't know if I disagree with this.
No.
What about, that's never happened.
No, I think it makes a difference too if they're, now our oldest daughter was good high school distance runner, didn't run in college, but our other 3 kids were all college athletes. And so I think part of it is, I think athletes think like conservatives and conservatives. I think there's something about setting the goal, working hard, competition, all the things we talked about before. So both our boys wrestled for the Badgers, and our daughter played. She didn't play particularly well, but she played college golf. She was a pretty good junior player. So sports. I think sports are critical. But I know a lot of liberal athletes. Well, there's some, but there's a lot of conservative guys. It's certainly in the. I talked to the president yesterday. He brought the Penn State wrestling team up on stage. He was in State College. I called him up. We were laughing because it just was funny that he brought him up there. Maybe we talked about that before, but it's certainly in the wrestling world. They're conservative, and I think a lot of them are. Rob, last thing before we wrap up, the clip that you just pulled up, what Schumer said on MSNBC. So if you can play this clip here, go ahead.
Solicited pronouncement on the intelligence community. This was his tweet just a little while ago tonight. You see the scare quotes there. The intelligence briefing on so-called Russian hacking was delayed until Friday. Perhaps more time needed to build a case. Very strange. We're actually told, intelligence sources tell NBC News since this tweet has been posted, that actually this intelligence briefing for the president-elect was always planned for Friday. It hasn't been delayed. But he's taking these shots, this antagonism, this taunting to the intelligence community.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
What do you think the intelligence community would do if they were motivated?
I don't know, but from what I am told,
right there.
They are...
Who's the wrong group to piss off in politics? Is it them?
Well, that is frightening, though, what he said. And I even think it's interesting because Rachel Maddow, for being a lefty and everything, it seemed to me that I remember this because I've talked about this numerous times. The idea that the elected official is saying, if you question the agencies who are supposed to work for the people that are elected by we the people, somehow you're in trouble. That is backwards. That's not how it's supposed. And this is a scary thing. The people who put their name on the ballot, they're the ones who are supposed to be accountable. You don't like what they do, you throw them out of office. Not these unelected people in the intelligence community or the Faucis of the world. That is so wrong. But I remember this, and I talked about this a number of times.
Is this not criminal, though? Is this not criminal?
It's wrong. It's sure wrong. And whether it's the intelligence community, the FBI, the DOJ, the ATF, what the ATF did to this Brian Malinowski down in Little Rock, Arkansas, knocked on because he sold 6 guns. He's the highest paid official in the Little Rock government, runs the Bill and Hillary Clinton Airport. ATF came to his door pre-dawn, put the sticker on his doorbell cam so they couldn't see. 58 seconds later, he is dead. For a search warrant, just go when he's not there and get the guns or whatever. It's like, yeah, this is it right here. This is so wrong what happened here. This is something else we're in the process of investigating. This.
What happened again here? He sold what? You said 6?
He sold 6 guns without an FFL, federal firearms license, and he was a gun hobbyist. And the ATF says, oh, you didn't have a license. We're going to come exercise a search warrant, not for him, but for, whatever. Do it when he's not there. Don't come in at 6 a.m. A guy with guns thinks he's being robbed. They 10 cars pulled up. You got to watch the testimony. His lawyer came and testified. Bud. Can
you pull it up, Rob? I didn't know about the story.
But he's a former U.S. attorney who represents the family now. He came and testified. It was powerful. His widow was there. She came and.
Is that it?
No, I don't think that's. It might be. It's such a sad story, and but anyway, that just got me thinking about all these agencies and how they unelected people doing the things they're doing. Yeah, this is it. Bud Cummings, that's right. Former U.S. attorney is representing the family. Mr. Malinowski's wife was there after the hearing. She came up and hugged me. It's the saddest thing. What happened? Yeah, it's troubling.
Are they as get out of jail card to be able to do stuff like this and not be held accountable? Is that where they're at? The intelligence?
Let's hope not. Let's hope not. And, what we can do is, best way we can begin to change it is 7 days from now on this election and make sure President Trump and Republicans win.
Jim Jordan, this was great. It was great spending time with you. I appreciate you for coming out.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll do many more of these in the future.
I look forward to it. Thanks for all the good work you're doing.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, Jim. This was great. Fantastic. Take care, everybody. Don't rustle this guy. He's trouble. Take care. Bye-bye. You're going to think I'm crazy when I tell you this, but the last 13 and a half years, I've been working on my first fiction book to write, ever. Fiction book to write. And while I finished this book, a year ago, I got the strangest phone call about one of the characters in the book where the guy wanted to meet with me, and he read the book. And afterwards, was like, wait a minute, am I the villain in the book? This is a story about a character named Asher, who is half Armenian, half Assyrian, whose father was involved in the Iranian Revolution, linked to Savak, working with the Shah, that they escape and he gets recruited to a secret society. When you go to the secret society, it's been around for a couple thousand years. They've developed some of the craziest leaders of all time. And they test you. There's unique tests that they have at the society where they test to see your emotional mental toughness. One of the tests that they have is very rigorous. It's purely mental. Of course, there's a physical one, but one is mental and emotional. If you're Armenian, if you're Syrian, if you're Persian, this is a book you're going to be reading and saying, holy moly, this is the kind of stuff you talk about in here? Yes. If you're somebody that's fascinated by history, this is a book for you. Characters. There's a technology that this society, secret society, builds where you go into a vault. I won't spoil it for you. When you go down, they have a technology where you get to sit down and watch and have a 3-4 hour conversation with Tupac. You can set up a debate between Karl Marx and Ayn Rand. Karl Marx is in the book, who wrote Communist Manifesto. Ayn Rand, who wrote Atlas Shrugged, is in the book. Marilyn Monroe explains the concept of seduction and sex in the book. When you read the book, it's about development of the next leaders in the world and how they do it and how they've been doing it for many years. And it's also about how to prevent the end of civilization and how this organization goes about doing it. So, I've never written a parenting book before, but if I ever wrote a parenting book, this is the closest thing to it because it's all mindset, a lot of crazy stories. Again, 13 and a half years. Trust me, I told myself I will not publish this book until I sell my insurance company and I'm fully disconnected from it, where it's no longer my responsibility 100%. When you read this, if you're a creative person, if you like fiction books, if you enjoyed Atlas Shrugged, or if you enjoy Divergent, if you like books like that, I think you're gonna enjoy reading this book. It's the creative side. Business books is very easy. Here's how you do it. Here's how this how it works. This is very creative. If you haven't placed the order yet, now you can order it on Simon & Schuster, Amazon. I'm gonna put the link up below somewhere here, maybe even in my profile. Go order the book and read it. I've never written a book where I can't wait to read your reviews to see what you think about this book. So I'm going on this wild journey and we have some plans with this book here. If you support the things that I work on, I would appreciate you going and reading the book, order the book on Amazon, and then post a review.
You know, he's there at this little after party and I find him in the back room and the people will never understand. I can sit here and tell you like what the paraphernalia that's in front of him and what he's doing and how it just, intrigues me. And he'll go to the bathroom, every 10, 15 minutes, like in public or if we're on the train or going somewhere. And I don't think it was his bladder that took him to the bathroom.
That off.
That consumption.
Right.
It just seems like, how are you still alive?
Have you at all gotten a call from the president?
Jill and I only want what is best for all of our grandchildren, including Navy.
I have not gotten anything. I don't feel like Hunter ever felt like he got the love he deserved from anyone. And I felt like he was constantly looking for that in everyone. And you're just thinking I'm crazy. I know. I see the look on your face.
So when I was first approached with the idea of interviewing London Roberts and having her on the podcast, I was a little bit skeptical. She is the mother of Hunter Biden's daughter. They had a child together. They had a full-on 1 year plus year relationship. And when the story became public and then eventually DNA supported that this is actually Hunter Biden's daughter, I didn't know whether this was going to be a good idea or not. I watched a couple of her interviews. She seemed very reserved. I watched her interview with Megyn Kelly. And then eventually I said, you know what? Let's give it a shot. Brought her down, sat down, spoke to her, and she started telling stories. She told a story of one time when they were hanging out together. There's a knock on the door. Door opens. Hunter's actually on drugs, totally messed up, opens the door. At the front of the door is President Joe Biden. And she explained the experience, what it was like when he came back into the room. You have to see what she said about it. She broke down exactly how they met, how long they were together, intimate moments they had together, drugs, what the moment was like on how long they didn't speak. And the first time around, when she showed up surprising him at the deposition with a box that you're going to have to see what's in the box. There's going to be a moment where you're going to feel the pain of a mother wanting the daughter, asking a question, when am I going to meet my father? And she's explaining a video where Hunter is reading a eulogy, and you're going to see this moment where, the daughter is watching this video, and I'm not even going to spoil it for you. You have to watch it. This is not going to be what you expect this interview to be. This is not her trashing Hunter Biden, throwing the entire family under the bus. That is not what she did. She did not hold anything back. But your impression of why she thinks he is going through what he went through will be different. And there was a picture that was brought up when she said, I always wondered about this picture that's been public about the day President Biden was sworn in. With the timing of it seems a little bit odd for me. Why would anybody do it at the time that he did it? You're going to have to watch it for yourself. And I hope this somehow, some way causes President Biden to invite his 7th grandchild to the White House or Delaware to actually meet, because she does not deserve to live a life without ever meeting her grandfather. Whatever the son did, whatever the addictions he has, in this situation, London didn't do anything wrong, and President Biden's granddaughter, Navy, didn't do anything wrong. But we'll see what happened with it. If you haven't ordered a book, click on a link below to support it. However, having said that, enjoy this sit down with London Roberts.
30 seconds. Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got betdavid? Valuetainment, giving values contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to hate. And how they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
All right, so we have an interesting guest. I think that's qualified, right, to say an interesting guest with an interesting story. She just released a book. Let me pull up this book here. Rob, can you go back up to it? So Out of the Shadows, okay, this is coming out in 2 months. My Life Inside the Wild World of Hunter Biden, okay? And that's London Roberts. London, it's great to have you on a podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
It's great to be here.
Yes, it's great to have you. So, obviously, we've read about you. We follow the story. We've kind of gone through, hey, are you going to claim, are the DNA results going to come back? Or is this real? Is this just a speculation? And then eventually DNA results come out. No, this is Hunter Biden's child, Navy. And then it even got to a point that I believe that the president had to respond to it last year, July 28. President Joe Biden made a statement acknowledging Navy, your daughter, his granddaughter, Hunter's daughter. Biden told people our son Hunter and Navy's mother, London, are working together to foster a relationship that is the best interest of their daughter, preserving her privacy as much as possible going forward. This is not a political issue. It's a family matter. Jill and I only want what is best for our grandchildren, including Navy, right?
Right.
So now everyone knows. It's no longer, it's a conspiracy, it's a hit job, it's all this other stuff. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So let's back up on how you and Hunter first met.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I talk in the book about being invited to an after party with a friend who was invited to an after party by someone, you know, she had met. And, you know, you hear this name, Hunter Biden, but I talk about that time, you know, I was out, I think. I talk about the, like, vodka tonic breath, you know. I wasn't in the best state, and I go.
We've been there before, both of us. So.
Yeah, many a time.
Yeah.
And I go, not knowing who he is, and, you know, he's there at this little after party, and I find him in the back room, and people will never understand. I can sit here and tell you, like, what the paraphernalia that's in front of him and what he's doing and how it just, you know, intrigues me. And he's in these parrot boxer briefs that are brightly colored, and you're just thinking I'm crazy. I know. I see the look on your face.
In briefs.
At a party. He's just
you say party, but it's only like there's a few people there just kind of hanging out, having casual drinks. It's beautiful scenery.
Does it look like something like that?
No.
It's not that.
It's
the
actual
scarf
brief.
is too much. The scarf in that one is too much. The scarf.
I mean, I'm just showing it. But it's more briefs. He looks like he's
more
wearing
like
a thong
the
here.
short. Like,
yeah, I got you.
Okay.
There's shorts.
So he's a little got some manners, at least first impression. You know, have a.
Well, he didn't. I kind of barged in on him. You know, he was in the back room by himself, and I kind of barged in on him. I heard something, and I heard him say something.
Yeah.
A bad word, and then I walk in. Yeah.
And this is a house.
No, it was at Rosemont Seneca. So it was the penthouse of the House of Sweden. So it was the.
So what does this place look like, Rob?
It was beautiful.
Is it?
Nice.
Yeah, and it's like this glass like cubicle building, and like the glass and everything had been like imported from Sweden. And
where is this at?
This is in D.C. It's on the waterfront.
Oh wow, okay.
And D.C. I don't know if it's considered Georgetown area, but it's definitely on the waterfront. Beautiful place.
And how long ago was this?
When I met him?
Yeah.
End of 2016.
Okay, we're talking 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Got it.
And my daughter's she'll be 6 in August.
Oh, so the relationship went on for a while. It wasn't like it was just a, week or 2 weeks.
Oh no, yeah, but I talk about Hunter and his addiction and how he comes and he goes. Mm-hmm. That was part of and it's a quality and a trait that a lot of addicts have. They show up randomly, and there'd be times he might be gone for 2 to 3 weeks and then pop back up. And I talk a funny story in the book, for example, is like he pops back up. And he knew that, like, one of my favorite quotes is, not all who wander are lost. Mm-hmm. And he, like, comes in, he's like, look at my socks. And he pulls his pants up, and he has socks on that say, not all who wander are lost. And I said, could have fooled me. Where the hell you been? I thought you were lost for the last few weeks. I hadn't seen you.
And
but yeah, that's how.
Is that the property?
It is.
Okay.
And the top floor up there is where his office was.
Okay, so now you go into the room, you're hearing say some curse words, and then what happens there? Is everybody that's at the party 5, 10, 15, 20 people? What's the size of the?
5 to 10.
Okay, so smaller groups.
Yeah, and they're in
okay.
like the front. Like there's like when you walk in like the hallway, and then there's like a conference room that goes out onto the balcony up there. Mm-hmm. And at nighttime it's lit up beautifully. It's like got this like gold. You see, like the amber lighting. It's beautiful and it overlooks the Potomac, and you can see like the Kennedy Center and the Watergate, all that.
Now, why are you there? Are you there because you're there to hang out? You're there to party?
So
you're
my
there
friend had met a guy that night, and he was going there, and so she wanted to go, but didn't want to go by herself. And so she just called me up, and I
going there to what? Going there to just chill, just hang out, have a good time.
No
motive.
Everybody had been
it's
out
not like,
having drinks and like
you.
just a place to chill.
What time is this? Is this like 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, midnight?
Like midnight at 1.
I mean, typically at midnight, if I'm going to a house, penthouse, we're not going there to read books. You know what I'm saying? We're probably going to.
Everybody was drinking, just having a good time.
Got it.
But it wasn't like loud college party or nothing.
What was the first impression he gave you? Was he charming, likable, flirtatious? What was he like?
The first thing that like caught my eye was his eyes. He had the most beautiful eyes, but like, you know how they say, Shakespeare, is it, that says the eyes are the window to the soul?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you can tell by looking at him, he's somebody who is there's so much back there, it's complex, I guess you would say, and you can tell that.
Is it pain? Is it childlike? Is it help me?
It was almost like pain, and I talk about throughout the book, like I have this great empathy. It's probably a bad trait, but I felt it immediately looking into his eyes, and it was a like, hey, how are you? And he's like instantly just starts talking like he's known me forever. And we sit down and we engage in conversation. He's really easy to talk to. And so that was it.
That was the first time. Nothing happened first night.
No.
Okay. And conversation is about what? At this point, do you know who he is? Do you have an idea how important he is?
We're sitting there talking. He introduces himself and he tells me his name. And, I talk throughout the book about how, you assume people that use that amount of drugs and you see the pictures on the laptop and stuff, but he was like almost like a banker, as like organized as he had it set up. Like it wasn't
like he had OCD with drugs.
Like everything was like compartmentalized and everything. Like it's not like just...
So he's an organized drug user. He's a very structured, systematic.
Like he doesn't want the meth touching the coke. Like don't go near.
No.
You know what I mean? Like they can't touch each other.
So but the conversation, did you know this is the former, because at the time 2016 President Biden is a former vice president, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not like he is in the limelight as much as he's been the last few years, because at least father's out of the limelight, et cetera, et cetera. Is he telling you, you know who my father is? Like, is that
it actually happened like midway through conversation. We had been talking. He asked my accent and then, mocks it and he's laughing at it and stuff. And I'm mocking his because I always say that he has like this high pitched like twang that I guess it's a Delaware accent. I don't know. But me and my friends used to joke with him all the time about his accent. But as we're sitting there talking, I'm in this chair. And it has, it's like a wooden type chair, and it has the arms kind of like this, but wooden. And there's a label on the side of it, and it's like a gold label. And it said Senator Barack Obama, and it had like the years that he served in the Senate. And I was is this Senator Barack Obama? Is this the president's chair? And like I stand up and I'm looking at it. And then it resonates, who his I was like, how do you have this chair? How did you get this? He's like, oh, it was a gift. And he's kind of laughing it off like no big deal. And then when it resonates and I say, oh my God, is that your dad? Like, do you know him? And he's like, yeah, that's my dad. And it was just as humble. And I Googled it, of course. I'm like, no way. Yeah. And, it was.
So your friend isn't like, hey, we're going to go to this place and you're going to meet Joe Biden's son. That's not what she said when you guys...
No, we knew that there was somebody there of some form of importance.
You don't know.
But we're also at the House of Sweden, so I didn't know if like it was some...
I got it.
And the friend, your female friend that came with the guy, was the guy in politics or in that world, or he was just a successful guy, or who was that?
I can't tell you much about that person. Mm-hmm. I don't know anything. I don't even know how he was invited because I didn't see anybody really interact with Hunter other than me and my friend.
So now, when you guys leave, what's the next time you guys connect?
Well, he gets my number from Kindle. Well, I think I changed names in the book.
It's all good.
Okay. So he gets my number, and we actually have car trouble that next morning, and she calls the number to the party, and it's him, and he sends someone down, like from this little, there was a small a mechanic shop not far, and they came and fixed, she had something with her battery, they fixed it, and then, take off, he comes down there, and that's how, he ended up getting my number from her. as we were talking, but we talk on and off for, like a week or two. And then I see him again. He comes, I think he was out of town, and then he comes back, and we met up.
Go ahead.
He asked, if he could see me. And so we met at, the House of Sweden outside. I didn't go in. He met me outside, and we went to just like a little Georgetown bar.
How was that?
It was just like it was the first night. Like the waitress comes over, she talks, and he's talking, and he's engaging in conversation with her. He talks to her, something about her bracelet, and then I notice, he wears a silver bracelet that's like a band, kind of like this, except it's wider. And I used to always think it looked like the "What Would Jesus Do?" like fish emblem all the way around it. And so he tells her some story about it, but I got lost in the moment because I'm sitting here like she has no clue who he is. Like he doesn't come off as somebody of any importance, or like my dad's the vice president, or my dad, now the president. Like he didn't come off that way. And he's sitting there talking to this girl. She has no clue who he is, and he just seems so humble.
He seemed humble.
Yeah, you would think he would seem like entitled, kind of arrogant. And I guess that's what a lot of people claim that they see through the media and stuff. And he did not come off that way.
Maybe the wristband he had on that says WWJD, maybe it is "What Would Joe Do?"
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like his
it doesn't say.
Okay.
It looked like
maybe
the
it is a
fish
J.
emblem.
What would Joe do? But going back to it. So the humble side. So you've seen a side that we've not seen. So and just listening to you, even in the first 8 minutes, just listen to you, sounds like you like him. This is a guy you like.
I did.
Sounds like he's a likable guy,
Oh, yeah.
and you enjoyed your times with him.
Oh.
So you're actually attracted to him
Yes.
physically as well as personality-wise
I was.
at this point. Okay.
I was. He seemed larger than life. When you're young, dumb, and naive. And I would never say that he took advantage of that. But he seemed larger than life, So, of course, as you're intrigued by that. Or I was, anyways. So
Can I ask you a question, Pat? Yeah. Were you so is he? Because I'm pretty sure because at the first time you saw him, he was doing drugs and there was drugs around him, paraphernalia. Do you think that personality, that talking, that hey, look at that, is that him acting high? Number one, and then number two, is there any security with him while he's going out at this time? This is 2016. No. He's just riding solo.
Yeah.
Okay. You think is he partying at all? Do you know if he's high when he's hanging out with you? Because he was at the house.
Well, see, I talked throughout the book about how he'll go to the bathroom, every 10, 15 minutes, like in public, or if we're on the train or going somewhere, whether it's Union Station or wherever we're at, he'll go to the bathroom and then come back. And I don't think it was his bladder that took him to the bathroom.
That often. Yeah. I think even one time you said, I want to say you said this in the book, where it's, he, at one point he used to go and, drink a gallon of vodka a day, smoking crack cocaine frequently. There was days that he was doing it 15 to 20 minutes at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Gallon of vodka.
Yeah, and that's crazy, right? That consumption.
Right.
Like it just seems like, how are you still alive? And there were times we would talk about it and he would tell me, I'll outlive you.
I'll outlive you.
Yeah, like
he's telling you.
Yeah, like he's like, nothing can bring me down. Like
so he feels he's untouchable.
Well, at that time, with everything that he was consuming, he didn't feel like it was but that was his deflection. He deflected a lot. Like if you try to tell someone that they have an issue or they have a problem, he would deflect.
Would you
avoid or deflect?
Would
that
you
was his
participate with them with the drugs, or no? Was it mainly him?
Well, no, I talk about, in the book how I'm no saint. And I was young and, I partied a lot and drank a lot and tried a whole lot of things, but I never had an addictive personality. And so far, I think the only thing I've ever been addicted to is red flags.
Red flags?
Yeah. Red flag guys. Red flagged men.
Very, very interesting. So this time around, this is 2 weeks. He comes, he helps out, sends somebody to come help out your friend's battery in the car, get the number, and then you guys go out to a bar. You're having a good conversation. He's talking to the waitress or the bartender, just having small talk. He's wearing this bracelet. What would Joe Biden do? And then we're going through this whole thing. And at what point does it get intimate where it's actually a relationship, physical relationship?
Just
that day at the bar.
Yes.
Okay.
We go to, I believe it was the Ritz-Carlton in the Georgetown area. And we go there and I stay with him. He's got like this little open bar, that comes with his room. And we're just there talking. And I talk about how that was, my first hit of Hunter.
Your first hit of Hunter. You say that in the book.
That's the chapter.
Okay.
Name.
How was the first hit of Hunter?
Wait, are we talking about? What are we talking about?
We're talking
Are we talking about the date?
Both. How was the first hit with Hunter? Was it something where, because at this point, is this guy a guy that's partied so hardcore? Because, there's certain people that go through phases of partying. Some people don't graduate it. Some people do for the rest of their lives, and they can't stop partying, right? But, just like anything else, you party a lot, you become better at it. Was he fun? Did you have a good time with him?
Oh, yeah. Very fun.
Okay.
Very, very fun. But there was, I don't feel like Hunter did it to party and to, didn't outgrow his party years or at Georgetown or whatever. He did it, I think, to try to numb this hurt that he had, and that he'd lost Bo. He's been through tragedies in his life. Mm-hmm. And I think that he just had so much. I've read, and I know this is probably something you shouldn't do is ever read somebody's journal. But I read one time in his journal, where he was talking about, it was in his office, and it was one of the days I had to clean. I was cleaning out his office at Rosemont Seneca. And, you have to pick what do I think he'll want to keep, what I think he'll not want to keep. And he had journaled and kept so much. And I flipped one open to see what it is. And of course, he's talking about like the mind and how it's an idle mind is the devil's workshop. And he goes on talking about that. And it made me think that, a lot of times he did those things because there was just that idle mind in the devil's workshop.
Did he ever talk about his father with you? Would that come up or not at all? Like, would he say, did you ever ask the question, what's your relationship with your dad? Was there any talks about him?
Well, I mean, yes and no. Like there were times, I don't know if y'all remember the memes that came out.
Mm-hmm.
There was a bunch of memes when Joe and Obama were in office,
mm-hmm.
and they had all like their bromance memes and stuff, mm-hmm. which we thought were funny, and me and mine and Hunter's mutual friends would like bring them up, like we'd be on his laptop looking them up and laughing, mm-hmm. and he didn't think any of those were really funny. Sometimes he'd mock us and laugh, but he's like he doesn't like to feel like his family's being made a mockery of.
Was he protective of his father?
I would say so. I would say, I think that Hunter felt like a disappointment in a lot of ways to his family. And I think that bothered him really bad because he wanted to make his dad proud. And at one time he told me a story about like growing up, how, like he was the kid that would get in trouble and Bo was like the saint, and they like called him like general or chief or something like that, or sheriff, or it was they gave him some name like that he talked about. And he said that, parents knew that like if their kids were with Bo, they would be doing the right thing. And he's like, and if they were me, they'd probably get in trouble. Like he would make, little things like that I think bothered him, because I think that he did want to do good, but I think he just had so many demons.
Normally when you're in a situation like this, half the time you're not looking for money. You're not looking for fame. You're not looking for any of that stuff. You're looking to be left alone, and you want somebody to have a conversation with where you feel safe, right?
Right.
You want to be able to talk to somebody. Did he ever feel that level of comfort with you where he spoke to you and opened up?
Yes, but Hunter, like I talk about our first kiss in the book, and how, his lips, they were so hard, and it was like the shell, like he had walls put up, I'm sure, from everything that he's gone through, and who his family is, you probably have to do that. But like, for example, Hallie had told me one time that
Hallie?
This
is Bo's wife. Bo,
yes.
Okay. Widow. Yeah.
She had told me one time that she's like, Hunter trusts you. Like, whatever it is, like, I don't know why, but like he'll talk to you and he'll trust you. Like, if you talk to him, if you can. And when she confided me and told me that, she told me that doesn't come easy. Like, that's something that like Hunter doesn't do.
I bet.
And so, that was another reason when I got pregnant, I felt like I'd let him down because, it was this burden. I became a problem to him. And I was somebody that I felt and other people felt like, he could trust.
Very interesting. So from the first day you meet him upstairs in a penthouse to you getting pregnant, what's the timeline there?
Over a year.
Over a year. Got it. So in over the year, how many encounters or how many times did you spend time with them?
Oh, multiple.
10, 20, 50?
I don't even know I don't know if I could put a number on it. Lots. I mean, he would show up and he'd be there for, 3, 4, 5 days. And then he might go ghost for 3 weeks.
Maybe hours.
And then he might be there for 3 weeks.
How many days would you say you spend with them? Days, if you were to say, in that 1 year? 50 days, 100 days?
Yeah, somewhere between there, probably.
Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot of days. So if he's traveling, he's coming back to you, and you guys are together. And at this time, so a year later you get pregnant. When you get pregnant at this point with the relationship, has he ever, are you guys talking like you're his girlfriend? What's the conversation like? How does he view you? How do you view him? Who are you to him?
That's difficult to explain. And that's something that, I think reading the book is probably difficult to explain because Hunter and I had been seeing each other. And then a couple months later, it comes out that he's dating his sister-in-law. Yeah. And I was shocked. And it kind of hurt. I didn't know, but I also knew that I probably wasn't the only, it's not like we were, this official relationship or anything like that. We were just, I talk about being like detached from my feelings and, that I had commitment phobia anyways, always have. And so it's difficult to explain, but like get off the phone, I love you. I love you too. It was never, it was that connection was there, but there was never no like, boyfriend, girlfriend. I kind of always knew after it came out in the tabloids, that him and Hallie were in a relationship, that it seemed more of like an open type relationship, and it seemed more toxic. Like they were more on and off too.
Now, does the media at this point know who you are, or they still don't know who you are? Like, is anybody following you? They're going. So, how did he? As the son of a former vice president, how does he get around without people, paparazzi coming around? Like, did you ever have a paparazzi moment with him or no?
No, there was one time that we were on our way to a bar in Georgetown. We were walking, and I remember a guy like got his phone up, and I wasn't used to that. And so I didn't know that he was possibly taking a picture of Hunter. And I could tell that it bothered him. But that was nothing that I'd ever been aware of, or because I'm telling you, like, he would blend so well. Like the time we'd go out to bars and he would just talk to people and people wouldn't know who he is. All they'd say, is he's Hunter. Sometimes he'd tell him he's Robert.
Yeah.
So no, like they're people, he just blended.
It's interesting. When the part where you say, one day he told me, he said, hey, I think you and Hallie will get along. You'll like her a lot. You'll really like her. Was he kind of like insinuating that, hey, maybe the three of us can, have some fun together? Was he suggesting that at all or no?
I don't know. That never happened.
Okay.
But
what do you mean that he never said you would like Hallie, or the fact that the three of you
that the three of us
that never happened. Okay.
Something together, like a throuple.
Some call it threesome, throuple, whatever you want to call it. Thruple. Yeah, totally. It happens every once in a while. No. But so that never happened with the three of you. Okay.
No, I've met her. But no, and I talk about through the book, like from the outside looking in, like I even tried to, be a mediator in one of their arguments. And it seemed, it just seemed more toxic. It seemed like two people that had relied on each other during a really dark time and then just kind of had to ride that wave.
Did you think at all it was weird that he is dating his, dead brother's widow wife?
When you say that, That's weird, right?
For sure. I mean, for sure.
But young, dumb, naive, and I think that it was part of like the Hunter package. Like it just seemed normal. But yeah, like you say that. I know it sounds crazy.
So did you meet her? So wait, here's my question though. When you met her, did you know that was his, like, were they already hooking up when you met her? Was it like, hey, this is Bo, my dead brother's widow, and they were already hooking up? Or?
I met her after it had already come out in the media that they were seeing each other.
Wow. Okay.
And he made it seem to me like it was sort of an open relationship, and he also made me aware that like the media might have the wrong impression of what went down, and so he kind of downplayed it.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I don't think the media could. I mean, it is what it is. You're sleeping with your dead brother's wife. I don't think there's any way to spin it any way than what it is.
It's a little weird. So okay, so let's continue. So you find out you're pregnant. What do? You call him. You tell him we have to meet up. You text him. How did you tell him the news?
Well, so first, I don't tell him for a while because I'm so scared. I'm nervous. Well, I say a while, but I mean, it's just like a couple weeks. But I'm so nervous. And because, you hear all these conspiracy theories about how they feel about politics and how, they'll make these scandals just disappear or something like that. And then I felt like I'd become a scandal. And so I was so scared to tell him because I knew him as Hunt. So we all called him, but I talk in the book, I wasn't scared of Hunt. I was scared of Hunter Biden and his reaction, as who his dad is, and taking all that into consideration because now I'm a scandal. So it was tough. I didn't tell him at first, and then I have complications, and I think it was just stress-induced complications early in the pregnancy. And I actually invite someone to my house to have a conversation. And he is someone that I had met through mutual friends, and he's actually, a friend of Obama. And
well-known person or no?
Well-known in that area, maybe.
Okay.
Locally. Okay. But probably not nationally. And I tell him I need to talk to him about something. I need some advice. And he's like, okay, because I trusted him. And he said, okay, yeah, what? Just come to the office. I was like, no, I need can't be at the office. I don't want, anything being reported. I didn't want to take that chance because you become paranoid. And so he came over to my house and was like, what's wrong? And I said, it was on his lunch break because he realized then that it was an emergency. And he's like, okay, send me your address. I'll be right there. And so he comes in, he's like, okay, what's wrong? And I said, and now mind you, he's an attorney. He actually went and studied at Harvard with Obama, knew the family, knew politics well. And so I said, I'm pregnant. And he just looked at me and he said, well, I assume I know who the father is. I said, yes. And he's like, well, at least it's not a Clinton.
Oh, wow, really?
That's really the first thing he said.
He said, well, at least it's not a Clinton. And he said the Bidens are known to, embrace their family, love their family. They're very family oriented. And he said it could be a good thing, and people at that time that knew Hunter, knew his addictions, like maybe it could bring him out of this dark place. But it didn't. So meaning, if it is a Clinton, your life may be on the line type of a deal. Yeah, he said it jokingly, but I mean... Well, there's only one Clinton you can get pregnant with. And Hillary nor Chelsea can't get it done, right? So, okay. So he's telling you this. Is he at all getting to a point where asking you whether you want to keep the baby, whether you want to abort the baby? That conversation is not at all being had. No, I had not had that conversation yet. I talked to him, this guy, this attorney, and then I also talked to I call it our amoeba pack, and it was me and we had two other friends that we'd hang out with all the time with Hunter. I brought them around him a lot because I trusted them. And I talk about the friends that I would bring around him had to be people that I trusted because I didn't want them to go off and, tell everyone about what he's suffering from and this demon on his back. And so I tell my closest one, and of course she's just like, oh my God. Like, it's just, how did this, well, we all know how it happened, but at the same time, it's just like.
Science.
Right.
You got to trust the science, Fauci says. So,
but why?
Yeah.
And so it was a very confusing time. She tells me, she says, I'll go with you. And I avoid him. I talk throughout the book, like I avoid him, and he even contacts her and my other friends, like, what is going on? And so finally, I go see him, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to tell him. And I take my friend with me and as backup. She's like, okay, she's like, I'll make the move to go to the bathroom. And when I make that move, like,
she's hung out with him. So is this the same girl from date one, or is it the same girl that you guys went? Okay.
Yes.
So she's safe. He feels safe around her. Okay, got it.
And so we're all in there just talking and stuff, and he mentions like what's been going on? Like what's this big thing? And she finds her cue like to go to the bathroom. Mm-hmm. She just like kind of looks at me, and I don't know if are you fans of like the Friends TV show at all?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So big
We're
fan
not
of
40s,
that.
so we follow. I mean, he watched every episode. So
me too, multiple times. Okay. I always say that when I tell him, it was a lot like when Rachel tells Ross that she's pregnant.
Okay.
And it's like that. Just look that.
Yeah, he's gone. Yeah, the what?
And he doesn't say anything, and I'm just like, and it's yours, by the way. Like, if there's any question, but I'm just like gonna let you process that. And he's like, honey, I know it's mine. Like, and goes into this, I know it's mine. I want you to know, I respect whatever decision it is you make, and I'll be there spiritually, financially, mentally, whatever it is. He's like, have you thought about this? Have you, what do you want? And I told him, I was like, abortion would be something that would be off the table. Mm-hmm. And I said, the only reason I would ever consider it would be because of who you are. And that's not, I wouldn't be able to live with myself for that. Mm-hmm. And he was totally okay with it. What do I need to do? What can I do?
He's saying this to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, it seemed that night was great. And then, there were a few nights after, but it was, I start going and having these crazy amounts of ultrasounds done at Sneak a Peek, because I'm like, it can't be real. Like,
you don't believe that this is really happening?
No, like the night that I took the tests, like the next day or that next week, whenever it opened, I'd go to have an ultrasound done. So I'm like, this can't be right. Mm-hmm. Like, there's no way God would put me in this situation. And I take my friend with me, my trusted friend, and she laughs to this day because, the woman does the ultrasound and she tells me, here's, shows me what's what and everything. And I'm like, are you sure? But are you sure? And she finally, she's offended. She's like, I've been doing this for 25 years.
It is.
You're pregnant.
Yeah.
Get out.
Yeah.
But it didn't seem real. And it was really hard for me to accept, I felt like. And I did a lot of that before I even met with him.
So at this time, no weird friends being sent to have a conversation with you. You sure you want to do this? Life's going to be very difficult. Do you want the scrutiny? Do you want the pressure? Is anybody, not Hunter, is anybody else trying to influence you to make a different decision?
No.
Nobody?
No.
You thought about it. Where did you go? You just thought about it.
No. I think about, me and my friend having that discussion. We have a discussion one night in the car.
Your friend?
Well, and his friend, the same one.
Okay.
From
the Barack Obama guy.
No, the mutual friend, the girl.
There's no...
the one from the first night.
The two of you.
Yeah,
it's
just the two of her.
Okay, got it.
The two of her.
Got it.
Two of us.
Yep.
And, we talk about it, and I kind of say the same thing that I said to him. Abortion would be off the table for me. And, the only way that even comes to mind is because of who you are. And that I can't. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I did that. I couldn't do that.
Now, when you've made this decision and he knows, from the first moment you meet him to getting pregnant, that's 1 year. From the moment you're getting pregnant, you find out to telling him it's 2 weeks. You meet with the Barack Obama friend from Harvard. He tells you the Bidens are better than the Clintons, which is what a weird thing to say, but great. So he seems like a gentle guy that he's not trying to persuade you to do otherwise. Then you and your friend have a meeting. Then you and your friend go and tell him. Then he says, I'll support you spiritually, financially, morally, in every way. Then you go do the ultrasound. You piss off the nurse. She kicks you out.
Well, I actually did the ultrasound like before I met with him.
Okay.
I did it like
reassure.
as soon as I found out because I'm like, this can't be. And I've got all these tests laid out on the table that say positive, and I'm like, no.
Did anything with the relationship change gradually from you saying you're going to keep the baby? Was there still physical encounters, or did it kind of like he's no longer available, he no longer sees you as much, or nothing's changed yet?
No, we were still seeing each other.
Okay, got it.
You know, how the couple days, and then I might not see him for a few, and I'm texting him, and, you know, one of the times I saw him, I think when the relationship changed is when, you know, I told him he was staying in Annapolis at the time. And I had told him that I would do a sneak peek to hear the baby. It was like the first time to hear the baby's heartbeat. And he should be there, you know. You said you wanted to support me, right? And so I tell him. And then my friend also, you know, hey, don't forget. Because she had seen him, she had to go pick something up or something. And she seems like, hey, don't forget. It's like tomorrow or it was the next day or might have been that morning. I can't remember. And I showed up. And I listened to my baby's heartbeat, and he never showed. Never got a call, nothing. And then it was like just days later, you know, it was an apology. And I know I was wrong, and I'm just, you know, in a bad place, and I'm so sorry, you know, excuses.
And then did he continue seeing, or was it a steady decline, or was it a sudden decline?
It was a steady decline at that moment, probably for just a little bit, and then it was nothing.
Done. So when is the last time you and him had a text exchange?
Oh, what would be the date? Probably March, I believe it would
this
be.
Year.
Oh, I thought you were talking about during that time.
Well, yeah. I mean, when it was a sudden done, like, is he at all not responding back to nothing?
Oh, that was while I'm pregnant.
Yes.
That timeline, right?
Yes.
So find out I'm pregnant. It's like first week of January. It's the steady decline. It would be March or April, last I heard from him.
Till today?
No, not till today. Just during that time.
So from March, April,
Yes,
last time you hear from him, to you having the baby and actually delivering the baby, do you hear from him at all during that time?
No, that's what I'm saying. From the March, April time that I spoke with him and talked with him to having the baby, no communication.
10 months,
so,
nothing.
Yeah, so it's like 6 months, right? Give or take 7, 8 months.
Right.
Okay. So then the baby is born. Does he at all come to want to see the baby or not at all?
No, there's no conversation with him.
So from that March, April till today, you guys have never spoken, never text, no phone call?
No, not till
nothing.
today. But at that point, like,
Okay.
you know, the baby's born. He is not. He
Around
did
at
not.
all. So when is the first time after the baby is born that he calls, reaches out, or wants to see the baby?
He doesn't until the child support dispute last year. That was the first time I surprised him at his deposition. You know, you have depositions, and I had done mine that week, and his was like on that Thursday or Friday. Well, it just happened to be Father's Day that weekend. So I set my child down, and at this point, you know, she's 4 going on 5, and she knows who her dad is. She doesn't quite understand why he's not there, but she sees other children with a mom and a dad. And so, you know, I in the book, I put all these stories about the moment I had to tell her about her dad, how she reacted, you know, the hard questions that I had to answer to her. And back to the deposition, I go, but a couple nights before I tell her, I say, and I don't tell her that he's coming to Arkansas, because how do you tell her?
Yeah.
I've been making these excuses that, well, he just lives so far away and he's so busy. How do I tell her he's coming to Arkansas and I'm going to see him and you still never met him? And so, and you know, I'm also telling her, you know, but he loves you from a distance. I tell her that I instilled that in her. And I had told her, you know, how great he was. And because I don't want, if she hates him someday, or if she has any ill feelings towards him someday, it will be because of him and not because of me. I won't do that to her.
You don't give me those vibes at all. Like I don't sense any vindictiveness or animosity towards him from the second you came to now, even off camera. You've been very straight up and sincere about how you feel about him. So now, at this point, when you guys are when you guys are talking about the what do you call it, the child support, this is when you agreed to go from $20,000 a month to $5,000 a month.
Yeah.
Right?
So it was that deposition. It all changed that deposition when I showed up. Because I told Navy that, I said, it's Father's Day weekend. If you want to make your dad something, we'll send it to him. I didn't tell her I was going to personally.
You didn't take Navy, though. You didn't take Navy.
I couldn't take her to a deposition.
That would have been traumatic for her.
Yeah,
okay. So you
probably all of us at that point.
No question. But more importantly, the child is, it's going to be a bigger effect on her. Of course, on everybody, but on her it'd be different because it's younger. It's going to have an impression on her. So you see him, he doesn't know you're coming, deposition,
Mm-hmm.
what's his reaction when he sees you?
Well, so I get there and I've got this box. I let Navy make him something. And she made him, she drew him a picture of him and her. And they were as potato heads. And I had to write as potato heads because they were both orange. And I thought, this looks real similar to Donald Trump. And I don't want him to get the wrong impression. So I want to let him know that these are potato heads and that's the color she chose.
She has good taste.
And so I have to write it, in the corner, me and my dad as potato heads in quotation marks.
So funny.
And I gathered pictures of her from the first 5 years of her life, almost 5 at the point. And I put it all in this big white box. And I walked in depositions. My attorney walks up to me before, and Hunter's in the back with his attorneys. And he says, Hunter had no clue you were coming. They're flustered. They don't know why you're here. And I was like, well, what he doesn't know, I guess he thought that I was there to listen to the deposition. But what he doesn't know was I was there just to give him that box. I told my daughter that she could make him something for Father's Day. And that was the first engagement that she could ever have with her father. And it meant the world to her to sit there and watch her. She made him a bracelet. Mm-hmm. And that itself, I was going to get that box to him one way or another. At the time? She was fixing to be 5. She was 4.
So she remembered. You were at it's an age where it's you can communicate at this point. You can make stuff. You can do. I mean, my kid's doing it at 2.5, let alone 5 years old. Okay. So what's his reaction when you give him the box?
Well, he comes in the room and I'm sitting there with my attorneys and they're telling me they don't understand why you're there. Well, there was a couple reasons I was there. The box. And then there was some things no, it was made public that, he had no recollection of me and things like that. And so there were some questions I wanted answered. And I wanted my attorney to ask some of those questions. And I wanted to be there and have him sit across the table from me and say it to my face. And so I wanted to first, give the box. So he comes in. He's like, hey, how are you doing? Good. Yeah. Fine. And he sits down and, my attorney says off the record, there's something my client wants to give, Hunter. And I stand up and I remember, I haven't talked to this man. I've seen him in court one time. And I remember thinking that he didn't look like the man that I once knew. And I said, call me Trump. Where's Hunter? That does not look like Hunter, that man that I saw in court that day. And I of course, avoided him. But I remember standing up with the box and my hands were shaking and my voice was shaking. And I told him, I said, this might not mean anything to you, but it means the world to our daughter. And that's why I'm here today, to make sure that you get this. And I told him, I said, she's made you some things. I've also got pictures in there of her, of the first 5 years of her life. And I also have a bunch of videos. I have a folder completely in my phone that's for HB, to send anytime. If he wants videos, anything. He's missed out on so much. And she's absolutely spectacular. You have children, it's you can't get that time back. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to do that for her. And I handed him the box, and you can tell this look on his face. He's confused, is this a trap? She's being nice. And he just gets it and he says, thank you. And then he sets it on the shelf behind him. And I'm like, you're not even gonna open the damn box? So I got offended. I was mad. And then my attorney starts the deposition asking, some tough questions. And finally, Hunter he just looks at me and he's like, can we talk? And I said, yes, I would be open to that. And I was actually texting my attorney beside me, like, I'm ready to go. Like, I'm really uncomfortable at this point. Like, I'm ready to go. She's like, you can walk out whenever, but stay right now. Because she felt like, I guess as an attorney, she sees that he might be getting flustered in his questions or whatever it was. So then he asked to talk. And so we go to a room, just the two of us. And there was crying, there was laughing, there was,
He's crying. Both of you guys are crying.
Both.
Okay.
And as soon as I walk in, I talk about, like, he just embraced me in a hug. And yeah, I just immediately started crying. I said, I've hated you. and that's something that's so hard because, you see everything that your child deserves and she's not getting that. And it causes you to hate that other person. And at that time, like I said, Hunter, I've hated you. I've hated you for years. I said, this little girl, she prays for you every night. Do you know that? This little girl asks about you every day. She'll come to me, Mommy, what's my daddy's voice sound like? And you know what I do? I find your eulogy that you give at your brother's funeral, where she can see, she can see love in her father. Wow. And that's what I showed her. And what's the tough part is she watches it. And in the eulogy, he says, I love you. I love you. I love you. And that was what he heard after the tragedy, after the car accident. Those words to him, I love you. I love you. And I'm watching my daughter watch this on an iPhone screen. And she says, I love you. I love you. And kisses the iPhone screen. And I'm going to have to sit there, and try with this huge lump in my throat, trying to be strong for her and let her know, see, he's a man full of love. And I want her to see the good in him. I do. I want her to know she comes from a good place and the possibilities that she has. And that was very tough for me because at the time, I hated him. I hated him for what he'd done to me. And I hated him for what he had done to our daughter. And that's the whole point of the book, because forgiveness is a burden that, you hang on to. And if you don't forgive, whether they apologize or not, that burden's on you. And I had to forgive. And that day when we sat in that room, and another thing I brought up, I told him, I said, my daughter spent a lot of time making you a Father's Day gift, and you set it on the shelf behind you. And he says, I was not about to open that box in front of your attorneys and be vulnerable in front of them. But again, this is about our child. And so he has them go get the box, and they bring it through there. And we go through pictures, and, we're laughing at, like, certain pictures of her and everything. Of course, he's seeing himself. She looks so much like him.
Eyes are the same.
Oh, same eyes. Absolutely. And mannerisms. My friend that comes in, the mutual friend between the two of us, she'll come in twice a year. And she says, every time I come, I get PTSD. It's like you and Hunter going back and forth 24/7. But there was forgiveness given that day. And I remember we stayed in there for a long time. We went through that box. We talked about Navy. And, I can remember him telling me as he was crying, you don't know the remorse and the guilt that I've lived with every day that she's been born. And I told him, I know that you were in a bad place during that time. I get that. But when do you make it right? At what point? You're sober now. You're standing in your truth. And you have a little girl in Arkansas that loves you, prays for you, talks about you. She'll tell you her grandfather is the president. Has she ever met him? No. Is she proud of him? She used to walk around and, Arkansas has a lot of conservative people. My family has a lot of conservative people in it. And she's always, like Dad says, she's born to be an attorney because she'll argue with the wall. She'll argue with anybody. But, if there was anything about, like, the election that was going on, the campaign, she was, 2? And she's walking around saying, no, Trump, let's Joe, baby. Like, that's what she would say. Let's Joe, baby, instead of let's go, baby. Yeah. And, of course, my family's all like, ha.
Yeah. Get her out of here. Get her out of the living room.
But she has supported him and his family from a distance, and he's never known that. And all, I think that him and his family has seen was this toxic litigation around her, but that was just me wanting him to take accountability for his child. That's it. I don't care. The night that my attorney, I talk about, this story in the book, the night that my attorney called to tell me the child support and like the amount, I was floored. I was fine with the temporary child support, which is less than what he's paying now. And he had to be at depositions, that next morning during the paternity suit, to settle and he didn't want to come answer my attorney's questions. So the night before, his attorney's calling, like, how can we settle this right now? Of course, my attorney puts it off. Well, I'm actually having dinner with my kids, so I don't know if I get done in time. I'll call you back, but if not, I'll see you all at 8:00 in the morning. And it was, I settled that night, and I would have never guessed that amount. I would have never came out and flat out asked for any amount. I can't tell you. I can remember my attorney asking, like, what amount are you okay with? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, what's normal?
Any motive on the amount of money to ask for? That's not even something you're thinking about.
It was not. And I know people think that, and they think that was the main reason. The entire reason was for accountability. But I talk about, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. But hell hath no greater fury than a woman or a mother whose baby is being scorned. And that itself, was there anger in me at that time? A lot. So I didn't care.
From that moment on till today, have you guys had communication? Has he seen Navy again or no?
From that moment on, we decided that, he would engage with her in art. They could start off doing like a Zoom call once a month. She gets to pick out what painting, and he'll send it to her and whatnot. And he believes the two most important things to him is art that got him out of that tough time. And family. He said art and family is what got him through that tough time, and that's what got him to recover, got him over that addiction. And so he said, what better way to get to know my daughter than through art? It's helped me in other ways. And I'm all for it. That's great. That's wonderful. And so when we settled that day, I go home, and it's Father's Day weekend. And Father's Day weekend, my daughter doesn't bring it up, but she hadn't, but she's always known Father's Day weekend, we celebrate Pappy. And that's my dad. And of course, been a great figure in her life, a male figure. She does have that. And we're both blessed with that. And I get to tell her that Father's Day, I said, hey, today's Father's Day and we celebrate Pappy, but I sent your gift to your daddy. And guess what? You might not get to talk to him right away, but this Father's Day, you got your dad. I was like, and you're going to start getting to talk to him. Would you like that? And she's like, can I call him right now? And I'm like, well, whoa, moving a little quick. No, I said, we'll call when the time is ready. We're going to work out some details. Let us work that out. I said, but this Father's Day, you got your daddy. And that was just, the look on her face. Just like the look on her face the first time she saw him on Zoom call. It's worth every penny, any amount of child support. But you guys don't see each other, but he does a Zoom with her once a month. Yes, it started off once a month, and then it became like every week, and then sometimes a couple times a week. And that's something that I applauded him on. He would be, of course, we all know he had so much going on in Hunter Biden's world, and always. But this time, there's a lot of things that he's having to take accountability for now, and he'll come out of a meeting, with his attorneys or something, and just to FaceTime her for a little bit and let her know that he loves her. And they've created that bond through Zoom. When you were writing this book, did you tell him, hey, Hunter, I'm writing a book? Did he know or no? He was surprised. That was the tough part. When we did our, child support dispute last year, there was a question that was brought to me. Are you writing a book? Do you have any? Makes sense. Lawyers would ask. Is he asking or the lawyers are asking it? The attorneys were asking sort of questions that, come back and forth. And I said I'd not canceled that out because I feel like I have a right to tell my story as Navy's mother. And I made that clear. But no, at the time, there was nothing in place. And, once I started getting a lot of messages. And throughout all of it, there were the hate messages and the people that hated me and disagree with me, and that's completely fine. But then I started getting messages like women who have gone through similar situations, but it hasn't been in the public eye because it's not a political family or anything. And they talk about how, my story inspired them and how now, they fought for their child and now their child has a paternal side and a maternal and like they're good influences in their life. And so it inspired me to tell my story because I think that there's a lot of women that find themselves in a situation when they get pregnant that they become a burden more of, celebrating it, oh, we're married, we've wanted kids. And then you also have those women that get pregnant and it's like, oh shit. And, it's a good story for those women to know, there's light at the other end of the tunnel. But writing the book, you sign that clause with your publishing agency and all that stuff that you can't tell people about it until a certain date. And so I wasn't able to tell Hunter until right before it was released.
When? Like a couple months ago?
Right before, yeah. Has it been that long?
I don't know.
Whenever it was released to the media that
that was a few weeks ago. Then.
Okay, yeah, I think so.
So then did he ask you, hey, can you send it to me for me to read it or not at all?
No.
They don't have the transcript. They haven't.
No.
Okay, got it.
No, and
are you at all worried about it when he reads it or no?
No.
Not at all.
No,
You're resolved.
My thing is, I want him to know what I went through. And I mean, of course, I want everybody to know what I went through, right? You're wanting to share your story, you want to help somebody, maybe impact someone's life. But I want him to know what I went through. And I want him to know the hard conversations that I've had with our daughter and how long it's taken me to forgive and how long it has taken. Because everyone says, you give him so much grace. Well, it's been a long time coming because, yeah, I've stepped back and I've not said anything. And I've been a mother to our child and a father to our child. I've had to play both those roles. And there's been some hard times and some dark times that I talk about through the book. And I was alone. And I understand that sometimes during my dark time, he was in a dark time too, somewhere else. But he didn't show up for me. And he didn't show up for our child for so long that, no, this is a story. I actually write a letter to Hunter. You read the book. Did you read the book?
No.
Oh, there's actually a letter to Hunter.
Did the book, Rob? I don't remember anybody sending me a book.
No, they wanted us to sign an NDA before we got it, so we held off.
Okay.
I end the book, coming out of the shadows, and I write a letter to Hunter in there with forgiveness, a forgiveness letter. Like I said, whether there's an apology or there isn't, and we're just going to move past it like it never happened, that's not my burden to bear anymore. There has to be that forgiveness.
So, okay. By the way, I'm willing to bet thousands of men are watching this who have maybe experienced something like this in a much lesser, Hollywood script type of way that Hunter Biden takes it to a level that he's the GOAT on what he's done in this area. And they're sitting there saying, man, I'd love for my baby mama to watch this, to learn a few things from you, because my baby mama didn't have this level of grace. Meaning, your level of grace you've given to Hunter, let me tell you, it is, I know I'm going to get text messages and calls and manects of people saying, wow, they were not expecting that level of grace from you. But let me ask you this. So, okay, the love of a grandfather is different than a love of a child. Like the way you love your kids will be different than the way you love your friend, will be different than the way you love your wife or husband,
right?
Than sibling. That's a different kind of love, right?
Oh, absolutely.
The love of a grandchild, I don't know what it is, but I see and I witness through my dad or my mom or, through other grandparents, where it's kind of like that's your world.
Well,
have you at all gotten a call from the president to want to FaceTime with her, with Navy, to speak to her? And Jill, anybody? Have you gotten any calls?
No, I have not. I have not gotten anything. But I'll say this: the love of a grandparent is completely different. You know, I tell people all the time, my mother never picked me up from the dinner table and hugged me and kissed me and told me how proud she was because I finished my plate of noodles. She's never done that. She does it to Navy. And I'm just like,
hey, how about me?
Yeah, where was that?
Where were you?
Yeah. So yeah, that love I think is completely different. And you know, so many people tell me when they see pictures of Navy or when they're around her, they're like, oh my gosh, like she looks so much like her father. And it's like, yeah, she does. And I embrace that. I get that. But the love you have for your child, and then can you imagine your child having a child out there that looks so much like those years, you know, that you were looking at recently.
And you don't want to call to meet or see or invite or just say, hey, would you mind coming to the White House? We just want to see. You've never gotten a call from the president to invite anything. Well, who knows? You know, the one thing about life is, you know, sometimes it takes time. You know, because you may get a call, this goes out there, somebody sees it, they're like, hey, we'd like to see you. They invite you to the White House, or they come and see Navy. That would be interesting. To the average person who doesn't know Hunter the way you know Hunter, like to the average person that, you know, politically, whether they're like, you understand, I'm, you know, the president is this, and Hunter is a drug addict, and he's done this, and he's ruined so many people's lives, and there's strong opinions and emotions to him. What is your impression, not of Hunter, what is your impression of Hunter's father, okay, where you're, you know, sometimes you're dating somebody, and you meet a girl, you're like, oh my God, this girl's got a lot of problems. And then you meet the parents, you're like, oh, no wonder you have a lot of problems. I don't blame you. These are who raised you, right? You meet a guy, you're dating a guy, you're like, wow, this guy's very stable. How is he? The other day I watched a 12-year-old kid give a speech. You thought this guy was a president at 12 years old. And then you meet the parents, you're like, okay, I'm not surprised that this behavior is happening. Did you ever ask yourself saying, how did this guy become this kind of an, you know, addict? What did his father do? What did the family do to influence this behavior? And maybe from your end, what is your impression of Hunter's father?
Well, I'll say this. To begin, you know, I always felt like Hunter was who he was because of the things that he had gone through. And I didn't ever think it was so much on his father's end. I thought it was more the tragedies that he had gone through with, you know, his mother and losing Bo. I feel like those really impacted his life. And his father was sworn into the Senate by their hospital bed. You know, that I don't really know how I would feel about that. I don't know if, you know, he felt like, I don't feel like Hunter ever felt like he got the love he deserved from anyone. And I felt like he was constantly looking for that in everyone. And I talk about that throughout the book. You know, I feel like he yearned for some form of love, just like my daughter yearns for that love from her father. And so I always put it off on Hunter was the person that he was because of the tragedies that he had gone through. And that's more so of what I thought. And you asked what I thought of Joe as well. There's a story in the book. And I'm in Wilmington with Hunter, and we're at Bo's house together, and it's just us. And one of my friends had one of my friends there, but I talk about there was a knock at the door, and Hunter, you know, first he doesn't hear it, and I'm like, Hunter, someone just knocked on the door. He's like, what? Someone's at the door, and he's in the middle of his addiction, and he goes out there. And I talk about how, you know, I go and I'm like peeking through this window, trying to see like who's out there, what's going on. And I can see, you know, Hunter's back is to me, and it's Joe. And he's looking at Hunter. And I'll never forget the look on his face. And it was such a look of helplessness and hurt.
Joe Biden.
Yeah, because he's seeing his son in the state. And, you know, he had to know, even though he's not like using right there in front of him, he knew what state he was in. And, you know, I think Hunter has said several times how, you know, his family tried to step in and help so many times. And they had a quick conversation out there. And shortly after, you know, Hunter came in, you could tell he was affected by it. He didn't want to let his dad down. But the look of hurt on Joe's face as he watched, and I don't know what Hunter was saying to him, and I'm sure making up excuses or something. They had some sort of, they had something to do that day, some family thing that he had to be at, and I was supposed to take one of his vehicles back to the Annapolis house. And it was a short conversation, but I sit there just in awe of the look on his face. 'Cause I wasn't a parent at the time. Also, I was pregnant at the time, but didn't know it. And, you know, now looking back on that, I can't imagine. You know, I've seen that painful look on his face where, you know, he's hurting for his child and there's nothing he can do. Because Hunter made that very clear during his addiction. This is my addiction. There's nothing you can do to make me stop it. I'll quit when I want to quit. And I saw that look of hurt. Now it really resonates because I talk in the book, you know, Navy gets a lot of Hunter's traits and great ones. You know, he does have good traits, I promise. But one trait that I hope she never gets is that addiction that he battled. I never want to have to look at her the way that Joe looked at his son that day with that hurt and just feeling hopeless, helpless. You know, you can't save him. You know, this is a battle that he might not win.
What did you mean when you said sworn into Senate by bedside? What did you mean by that?
Well, I know that if, you know, that tragedy had happened, I don't...
with his first wife dying, that's what you're saying?
Yes.
Right.
And then, you know, Hunter and Bo were in the hospital, and he was sworn into Senate by their bedside. I know that if that tragedy would have happened, I don't know if I'd have been able to be sworn in that day.
Well, let me get this straight. So did Hunter tell you about this? Did he ever share this?
No, I've seen it. It's been like on the internet or something.
So he never brought it up to you. This is something that you've seen independently yourself.
Yes.
So what you're saying is your wife, your bedside, your kids are there, and you're being sworn in instead of saying, give me some time to mourn before I do this. Is this the one you're talking about?
Wow.
Yeah.
And this is who is in this picture right now, Rob?
That's either Hunter or Bo right there on the bed, I believe. And I think, you know, Hunter, I was actually told this as I wrote the book. Hunter didn't really talk about that time. And now he talked about his mother. There was a time, you know, we were on the train, and I tell a story about how we're on his laptop, and he shows me pictures of his mother. And one of them, it was such a candid picture of her, and she's like in this bathing suit, and she's beautiful. And he was just, you know, mesmerized by it. And, you know, you could tell that love for his mother. And I had heard, as I was writing the book, you know, that picture always kind of bothered me. Because it's like you said, I would have probably taken that time off.
So, Rob, can you go back and to read the details below? You had something. I'm curious to know what it says to us, because I'm now curious. I've never seen these before. Soon after Delaware Senator Joseph Biden was elected November 20, 1972, an automobile accident claimed the lives of his wife, an infant daughter, and put his two young sons in a hospital. To allow him to remain at children's bedside, Secretary of Senate Francis Valeo traveled to Wilmington to issue the oath of office to the new senator, a ceremony Valeo recalled in his oral history interview. Your wife just died. Your kids are in the hospital.
Your wife and your daughter and your infant daughter's dead.
His little girl just died. She was, I believe, 9 months old.
How many days prior to that event is this swearing take?
It had to be days, right?
I'm not certain. I'm not certain, but they're still there. I know.
I have to know now, Rob. I have to know this now. This is So let me,
She died December 7th,
18th?
1972.
Okay.
Well, that doesn't make any sense because this says was elected November 1972. Let me see when he was actually sworn in.
When was he sworn in?
Yeah, she died.
What exact date was Joseph Biden sworn into Senate? That's all you got to look. What day?
Look, you see the pictures of them.
There's
I mean,
two other photos. I saw the ones in the
they're
middle.
Hunter was what? That happened in 72. Hunter would have been like 2, and Bo would have been 3. That's tough.
Well, January 5th, 1973, December 18th, it's 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
So 12 days, 13 days, December 31st. So 18 days later, they're still at the hospital. You're being sworn in. You won November. And can you go back to the other picture, Rob? Can you go back to the other picture? Can you go to that one? What? That's Hunter and Bo.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Is that his leg broken?
I think.
Yeah, that's the leg in the sling.
Yes, and I think I was told, actually, as I was writing the book, I don't know this for certain, but I was told that Hunter suffered a traumatic brain injury.
Hunter did?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
They said that was some sort of public knowledge. I did not know that until, I was writing this book, and one of the women that was kind of helping me organize things and whatnot, she said it's actually been found that Hunter suffered a traumatic brain injury at that time.
Wow.
And, that apparently has some sort of way of leading people to addiction as well.
He never talked about any of this stuff. Never. Got it.
No, he never talked about the accident.
I mean, honestly, when you're at that level, I don't know if Hunter trusts anybody.
Right.
Did you ever see any of his friends where he's like, this is my guy that I trust no matter what? Like, was it Haley? And maybe I'm saying the name incorrectly. Was it another friend? Was it a relative? Did he have anybody that he 100% trusted?
No, the only one friend that I'd met a couple times was Devin Archer.
Mm-hmm.
And, I talk about that throughout the book and going out with them one time. And he seemed, I don't know what, Devin was going through something at the time, just kind of seemed down. Hunter was trying to cheer him up.
So Devin Archer was the only one that you feel Hunter trusted the most?
I don't know. I don't know if I'd say trusted the most. I don't know. I know they were friends. That's how, it was presented to me from Hunter. And then when I met him, he seemed to, And
just for context, Devin is the one from Burisma Holdings. From April 2014 to October 2019, Archer and his business partner, Hunter Biden, served, if you go to the Wikipedia, served on the board of Burisma Holdings, one of the largest private natural gas producers in Ukraine. And this is the part when Hunter Biden was asked, Rob, you can pull this up, when he was asked, if your father wasn't a vice president, do you believe you would have been sitting on the board? And he says, probably not. So this is also at a time where he's going through all this controversy when you guys are together. Did you ever have interactions with Devin or no?
Yes.
Was he, it seemed like a stand-up guy?
Devin, a couple times. Yeah. I think, I don't remember the exact timeline as to when I met him, but, he was going through something and Hunter was trying to cheer him up, and he seemed to himself. He seemed...
Devin or Hunter?
Devin.
Okay.
And, he seemed down about whatever was going on.
Do you remember the month?
I don't.
Was it 19 or 20?
The year?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it would have been 2017.
Oh, 17. So, I mean, this is the thick of things. This is when they're kind of going. Is this it, Rob?
The clip of Hunter being asked if his father wasn't president.
Can you play this
clip?
clip?
Yeah.
Okay, if you go for it.
If not more. In the list that you gave me of the reasons why you're on that board, you did not list the fact that you were the son of the vice president.
Of course, yeah. No.
What role do you think that played?
I think that it is impossible for me to be on any of the boards that I just mentioned without saying that I'm the son of the Vice President of the United States.
You were paid $50,000 a month for your position?
Look, I'm a private citizen. One thing that I don't have to do is sit here and open my kimono as it relates to how much money I make or did or didn't. But it's all been reported.
If your last name wasn't Biden, do you think you would have been asked to be on the board of Burisma?
I don't know. Probably not. I don't think that there's a lot of things that would have happened in my life.
At least he is,
that if my last name wasn't Biden.
Part of it where he's like,
It's like whatever, but he doesn't want to talk about it.
This is a very, you seem very reasonable. You seem very resolved in the way you've made your decisions. You seem like you're at peace right now yourself, but you seem to have, you seem to understand Hunter's pain. And if I was somebody that's watching this, I would say you're putting a little bit more of the responsibility on the father. I may be wrong, but that's the feeling I'm getting. Am I off?
Putting more responsibility
of his pain on his father.
No, I think it comes from everything. That's not, like the tragedies and everything that he's gone through, losing Bo. And then, the picture that I brought up, you asked about how I felt about that, not that situation, but how Joe handled or whatever. And I didn't understand. But I know that Hunter always, he talked very highly of, there's a story in the book and about, I think the chapter is like, he meant well. And even though he battled addiction, he went out of his way to try to do good things for people. And like one night we're on the train to New York City and there's an elderly lady sitting in front of us, like, first of all, probably way too old to be traveling alone, especially at nighttime. It was like one of the last trains out that night. And she sees us and he's looking up like rental houses and stuff on his laptop, and we're looking at them. He loved the colonial style houses. And so we were looking at them and sharing pictures and just talking and giving advice. And she turned around, asked what time it was, and kind of a couple times when we would go back and forth, she would turn around and laugh at us. And she asked what time it was. And so Hunter engages in conversation with her. And he's like, what are you doing on a train this late? And you don't have a phone? You don't? She said, no. She said, my nephew, with whom I've raised, is dying of the same form of cancer that Bo had.
Oh, wow.
And she said, she didn't say that. She called it by name, but it's a, I don't know the exact name of it. And she said, and I'm going to see him. And the family, she said, I don't have a phone. The family, she had somebody that was going to pick her up at this train stop at the stoplight, outside the train stoplight in like Newark, New Jersey. And Hunter instantly, I knew as soon as she said that, he instantly gets up, he walks past me, he goes and he sits with this lady, he hugs her, he talks to her, he has that empathy for her. And he talks about, the things that his brother struggled with during that, going through, that process. And he felt her pain.
Yeah.
And he meant well, because he says, you know what, I'm going to get your stuff and I'll take you to that stop myself. I'll make sure you get to your family and blah, blah, blah. And I just sit there and he gets to the stop. Hunter gets her. He gathers her things. He says, I'll be right back. I said, okay. And he takes her to the stop. And then the train takes off. And I'm thinking, oh, God, he didn't make it back. Mm. Well, he's running from like the front of the train. He makes it. He sits down. He's out of breath. And they come over the loudspeaker and they say, next stop, Newark, New Jersey. And he's like, and he looks at me. And I lost it. I started laughing. I said, oh, you just put that old lady out on the wrong stoplight.
So
and he's like,
funny.
Oh my
So
God,
messed up.
he freaks out.
So messed up. Nobody's ever heard from her again.
No, he freaks
She's
out.
gone.
He runs to the front. He's like, we've got to stop this train. We got to turn around. Like, I have put an old lady at a stoplight. I've got to go back and get her. And they're like, we can't stop the train. Like, we're sorry. He gets off on the next stop, goes back and gets this woman. And instead of us, like, we were going to go out to have a late dinner, maybe go out and do some things and come back. Instead, all of that is postponed. And I have to go to this loft that we're staying at by myself. He goes, takes care of this woman, puts her on the right stop. And mine, it's like, it's December. It was like snowing in New York. And then finally at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, there's a knock on the door. And it's Hunter, and he's in his T-shirt. He also had given his jacket on the way back.
To her.
He had given his jacket to a homeless man because he was cold. His cell phone was in it. Bo's dog tags were in it. And his wallet was in it. And he's just like, can't get it together. Well, I'm laughing because I think it's funny. And he's like, you need to call my phone. I said, well, honey, I've been trying to call your phone for the last 3 hours. And that homeless man hasn't answered me yet, so he's not going to answer. But he did answer, and eventually, like throughout the night. And then the next day, you know, we get Bo's dog tags back and the phone, whatnot. Hunter even tells him, he says, if you bring it to me, you can keep the phone, you can keep the wallet. I want my brother's dog tags. And he does, he gets them back.
That family forgets stuff all the time. Like, 'cause I mean, they forget stuff at the repair shops. But Pat, if you don't mind, so you said earlier about reading a little bit of the journal. You kind of opened accidentally and you read it. And I don't know, you know, I don't want to find out what he wrote in it. That's all on you. But it seems to me from a father's point of view, we're talking about the father, and I get the trauma that Hunter went through, and I can only imagine. You know, I lost my dad, but I was 18, 19 years old. But losing a parent that young, losing a sister, going through all that, and obviously something with the father. He's getting sworn in at the thing. Ashley Biden, who was born obviously later on, I don't know if you paid attention. Her diary was recently come out to be factual. She left. I was trying to be funny, but it's true. They forget stuff everywhere. She left a diary at a friend's house, kind of like a renting out Airbnb, whatever. It was found, and it's been public now. And Ashley writes in there a bunch of crazy stuff from her childhood, over-sexualized, having this, having that. And she wrote this is in her diary, her words, that she showered with her father probably at inappropriate ages. So I kind of see. I see a trend that's happening, and it kind of is going back to the trauma, and also with the father. I don't know if did you see any of that? Because it's a fact.
I've heard some stuff about that, but no, I don't, because I don't ever know like what's factual, what isn't, what's just being thrown out there, what's being said. So I've heard something about that, but no, not the details.
So
exactly.
so you reading his journal, what you were reading, was it current problems that he was going through, or was this like past history? Old school, like I don't know where you opened
it was, I'll tell you, it was 97.
Oh wow! Oh crap!
1997.
So this is old school.
Yeah, he was. He just wrote in there like some story, his thoughts on things, and you know, his at the time I can't remember exactly where it says that he was working at like as a lobbyist or something like that. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't happy. He wasn't happy in life, and so there was a lot of sad stories. He just wasn't happy with himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed this. I had no idea. I mean, I thought this was going to be a 45-minute to an hour interview.
How long have we been in here?
This is going to be an hour and a half interview. But I've actually really enjoyed listening to your story, your experience, and to the average listener, would you say your family, you said earlier, they're more conservative, right? Your family.
Some. I have
both.
Yeah, they go both. We don't discuss politics.
In your family?
Yeah, because it's just, you know.
Yeah, we made it. We made it at this company. If there's one thing we never discuss, it's politics.
Ever.
We don't like it.
The fact that she said Trump, we all were like,
we don't like to go there because it makes all of us very uncomfortable. But we made an exception today just for you, so it's a very special moment. Rob, can we make sure to put this book all over the place?
Thank you.
And I'm going to make the intro, and I'm going to make sure we support the book as well to be read, because it's a direct experience from someone that is sharing with the world things that we haven't directly had. All we do is we read and we see stuff. And also at the same time, I'd love to, I would applaud the president for him to reach out to want to meet his beautiful I mean, she is beautiful.
Thank you.
Granddaughter, which, by the way, looks like the best of you and him, but you see her
eyes.
father in her. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're the grandfather and that's what your granddaughter looks like, all you have to do is, we're sending a plane, come to the White House. We'd love to spend a couple hours with them, or Delaware, and then boom, send you back home. It's not going to be a big expense. And I think it would be very honorable to all grandfathers to see that even though this is a little bit embarrassing to the family, this events like this one get somebody to say, you know what, we got to move past this. You got to give him credit. He reached out, he did that, and now, Navy can forever say, because the president may not have a long time to live, she'll always be able to say, I met my grandfather. And I think that's going to mean a lot to her for many, many years to come. I applaud you. I appreciate you for coming out.
Well, thank you.
This was fantastic. Thank you so much, gang. Please go support her and order the book. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye.